On a beautiful day, a strange phenomenon appeared in the world. Humans could awaken the talent to control various chemical elements. The higher the percentage of elemental control talent, the stronger the person. Our main guy's name is Cao Nang, who just by diligently liking and subscribing to videos, awakened a super-level quest farming system. At the start, the system rewarded him with an SSS-level talent proficient in all 7 elements. He became the first person able to control all elements on Earth. Without further ado, let's get started. The story has ended, and the admin has reached the end. Wishing you all happiness. One early morning, a passionate speech was held at the 3rd Senior High School in the land of Devong, or more precisely in front of the old water-splashing sports field within the school grounds. The speaker's voice echoed 100 years after the disaster. A completely new industry has emerged. They hold and control elemental energies. The speaker was a mature man with a stern face named Tan Thien Hung, a lieutenant of the Alliance. He looked down at the attending audience, furrowed his brows tightly, and muttered, "Iron, copper, aluminum, silicon, nitrogen, potassium, sodium, calcium, hydrogen, cobalt, carbon, gold." Then without warning, he pulled out a jet-black stone, raised it for the audience to admire, and introduced his power that could extract 57% iron element. After showing off his ability, Thien Hung bared his teeth in a fang-filled grin, exaggeratedly shouting, "Iron extraction," only to see dark purple-black fumes resembling cloth scraps. Suddenly, at lightning speed, those cloth-like scraps diffused rapidly, wrapping around Thien Hung's arm. The stone in his hand gradually faded in color along with the diffusion speed of those scraps. When the density of the scraps reached a certain level, Thien Hung tilted his hand to let the stone fall freely and began lecturing that element. Extraction is not only for energy extraction. As the stone landed beside his foot, still smoking next to it, were clusters of iron flakes falling from Thien Hung's hand. It turned out those colorful scraps were made from iron flakes. Immediately after, Thien Hung lowered his arm as before open. His hand clenched it into a fist and explained its true use was for combat. Almost simultaneously, 2 mid-ranking officers carried out a thick metal sheet, shouted, "Take this," and punched through the thick metal plate with a fist of iron flakes. But punching through the metal shield wasn't enough. Under Thien Hung's control, the iron flakes expanded into a huge sharp spike right on the board. At the moment the fist hit the metal, the 2 officers quickly retreated to dodge the attack. Watching this spectacular performance, the BA-level high school students from Devong stood amazed, each with eyes wide and mouths agape, exclaiming how awesome it was. Things once only seen in textbooks were now witnessed firsthand in real life. It was shocking. Even the protagonist, Cao Nang, specially colored for easy distinction from the crowd characters, shared the same feeling. But before he could get over the shock, a high-quality, multi-level marketing-style voice sounded in his ear. "Do you want to become strong?" Cao Nang, shocked and suspicious of life, instinctively reached behind his neck and ear to find the source of the sound. It came again. It had repeated for 7 days, but he still didn't know where it came from. It whispered a sentence, then vanished without a trace, frightening him greatly. His jaws kept clamping, wondering if he was going crazy. Just as he was about to see a doctor, that voice appeared again, asking the same question. "Do you want to possess the greatest power in this world?" It kept whispering in his ear, making him extremely annoyed. Cao Nang immediately looked up at the sky and shouted, "If I want it, will you give it? Just talk and not act. You're an expert in bluffing, right?" Just when he thought the weird voice would finally be silent, a familiar blue screen appeared with 2 eyes and a battery icon that looked like a computer. Then the screen beeped a few times before a battery discharged tiny electric sparks, making Cao Nang standing nearby feel attracted. After a moment of booting up, the mechanical voice sounded again. "Server selection accepted, system test, startup cutting to mission." When he came to his senses, Cao Nang was surrounded by the blue screen. He stared at it without blinking and curiously asked, "What is this?" On the modern, sophisticated electronic screen appeared only one name, Tam Duong Ni. Cao Nang looked confused. He didn't understand what medicine the system was selling in the gourd. "What is it, Tam Nuong Ni?" The system ignored Cao Nang's bewilderment and announced, according to its programming, "Tam Nuong Ni has been found." In Cao Nang's mind at this moment, thousands of questions raced through his head. In short, he was stunned. His mind kept spamming and speculating about this so-called little treasure. Cao Nang thought, "Is this AI? I've never met an AI named Tam Nuong Ni. Don't others see this too?" Just as he was about to lose connection, the young lady named by the system appeared in the Alliance uniform. "Hello everyone, I am Tam Nuong Ni." Cao Nang and other students looked on as Thien Hung waiting for her to step on stage, placed his hand on her shoulder with a very smug and mischievous smile, introducing her as Soldier Tem. You guys are lucky today she came to perform elemental manifestation for you to see. Nuong Nhai, with a serious expression, ignored his bragging and said, "No need to say more, we can start now." Cao Nong was scared out of his mind looking up at the stage. Thien Hung added loudly, "We will start right now." But he added at the end that she is the same age as you guys. He was extremely shocked, his gaze focused on Nuong Nhi, his heart racing wildly, yelling in his head, "Is there really such a person?" As soon as her identity was revealed, several young men in the school admired and praised. "I heard that those who can manifest elements are top geniuses of the Alliance. We might really get to see elemental manifestation. We can't even extract elements, and she's our age and can already manifest elements." Nuong Nhi ignored the envious compliments around her because her eyes had caught sight of the stone from earlier. Thien Hung, who was using her, frowned when he sensed the remaining energy inside. Wanting to show off, Thien Hung shouted to his subordinates, "Hurry up and exchange another ore for Miss Tem Nuong Nhi." Nuong Nhi lightly smiled and refused. "No need, the Alliance's materials are scarce, so I'll use this ore." She then directed her palm toward the stone on the ground, and a strong blue-black energy burst forth. Then the energy twisted tightly, spinning around the blue force at the center like a small tornado. This performance was even more spectacular than that guy Thien Hung's by several times. Our male lead couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Extracted from the air, even using discarded ore, it had already passed the first stage of elemental manifestation, allowing one to extract energy to shape the element. The mini tornado soon shaped into a smooth silk ribbon. Then, depending on the person's will, the imagined shape of the element quickly completed into a dragon detailed down to every feature. Its red eyes emitted an intimidating aura. Nuong Nhi stretched her hand forward. The dragon twisted and surged forward like a storm with overwhelming momentum. As it flew over the students' heads, they watched with eyes full of admiration. Elemental manifestation is truly elemental manifestation. Cao Nong also thought intensely. After the dragon completed a circle, she threw a metal plate at it without hesitation. She planted one hand on the ground for support. The dragon opened its mouth and bit down on the attached metal shield and iron dust. Its teeth scraped against the iron, sparking beautiful fireworks like a display. In just 2 bites, it completely devoured the metal shield. The people below were shocked. After eating, the crumbs from the quick meal fell straight down among the students. Fortunately, they managed to dodge in time. Meanwhile, Cao Nong focused on observing the heat emitted along the dragon's long metal body, analyzing that the impurities in the iron could be removed instantly. When finished, the dragon flew back to Nuong Nhi. She gently smiled and petted its head. After observing, he concluded that this dragon was actually a high-temperature, molten iron furnace formed together. The students in the school were either mentally shocked, yelling, "I'm dizzy," or stunned to see a transforming dragon. Others were speechless, waking up to the reality that this was elemental energy manifestation. Now the schoolyard had turned into a chaotic marketplace. At this moment, a middle-aged man stepped up and cleared his throat a few times. "Well done, Soldier Tam, you really broadened everyone's horizons." He smiled with his eyes squinting, using a truly villainous face as he poured chicken soup to encourage the soul. "I believe everyone sitting here has the desire to possess great power. But becoming an absolute energy warrior isn't something that happens overnight. If you want to become a strong fighter like Soldier Tam, you definitely have to try 100 times harder, preparing for the university entrance exam. Yet these high school kids are eating this kind of meal." The whole group of successful ones got excited, speaking with enthusiasm, raising their spirits to fully welcome the university exam. To become an energy warrior, you must dedicate your whole life's elements to the Alliance. Don't stop me. This year's exam, I will try my best to get into the best military school. He followed the ventilation air and raised his hand into the air. Still keeping a flawless smile on his face, he shouted a slogan already prepared. "Our advanced high school number 3 must definitely get into the top 10 this year." At the same moment, the system screen showed a sneering soul whose smile radiated a rogue aura. Just looking at it, you knew Cao Nong was about to get tricked. Just heard a ding, it began to issue the mission. "Please prove your own strength, host. Let Tam Ngong Ni sacrifice using fire and fresh blood to light up the host's youth. Illuminate the dark road ahead." Cao Nong watched dumbfounded. Everything was a question mark. Sacrifice offering. What is that? By the time his brain fully processed the mission, he was so angry his eyes nearly popped out. Cao Nong almost screamed, "Are you teasing me?" Ngung Yi focused on displaying her power, unaware she was being monitored by a strange system. It was analyzing Ngung Yi's strategy on one side while guiding Cao Nong on the other. Midnight is the most suitable time to perform the sacrifice ritual. The sacrifice requires fresh blood and fire simultaneously. You have to draw a sacrifice circle on the sacrifice target. At the end, shout the slogan, "Those passionate, youthful years spilled in blood." You can use strong methods. When Konung read this tricky mission, he really wanted to have a life discussion with the system. "Aren't you afraid? My life is too big." Even the heavens poured rain in sympathy for your bad luck. Luckily, the system hasn't given a specific deadline yet, otherwise, oh my God. The students around saw the rain coming and started to disperse. "It's raining, let's go quickly. Thunder's coming, let's go home and put away the clothes." Only Kaonung's heart didn't cool down. He looked like a criminal about to be executed. While he was dazed, a teacher called him. "Kaonung, come here for a moment." Hearing the voice, Kaonung immediately said, Teacher Trung, give me a coin for good luck on the way. I need a favor, I want you to help me. Later I have to drink with Lieutenant Tan and company. Please teach Class 13 this afternoon instead of me." As soon as he saw the money, Kaonung snapped to attention, his spirit boosted tenfold. "Don't worry, Teacher Trung." He took the coin and cheerfully ran after his classmates. "Leave it to me." As Kaonung turned away, Teacher Trung immediately put on a careless expression. His face was deeply thoughtful. He thought not many kids are obedient, sensible, and good students like this. Their family situations are also difficult. Whatever help they can get is good. Kaonung, fully motivated, headed to class unaware of his teacher's thoughts. Next, he went to the academic office holding a stack of materials. The teachers here were very familiar with this situation, praising Kaonung enthusiastically for teaching in place of Teacher Trung. Kaonung is so good, excellent academic records, and so proactive. Kaonung skillfully played the role of a model student who excels academically and helps others. He responded politely, thanked the teachers for their praise, then carried the stack of materials to Class 15 BA. The juniors in the class saw him and all started talking at once. Class 13's handsome class president, Kaonung, is great. Today, class president Kaonung is substituting without prior notice, and people aren't even wearing makeup. Kaonung placed the stack of materials on the teacher's desk and seriously gave instructions. "Class president, where's the test paper for your classmates?" A girl in the class looked at him with puppy eyes, begging Class President Kaonung, "You didn't finish the story last time. Can you continue?" Kaonung accepts strict work discipline, 10 out of 10 refusals to say no. This afternoon's first period will have a test. The test covers parts 1 through 5. Another girl immediately stood up and asked Senior Kaonung, "If we have a test in period 1, can we just listen and hear stories in period 2? Kaonung didn't take this lightly, gently tapping the girl's forehead and said, "What's wrong? You're about to enter 11th grade. You have to study hard and try to pass the military school entrance exam." Then he continued to deliver the bad news. Period 2 will continue with tests. A boy in class groaned to Senior Kaonung, "You are literally a demon." Meanwhile, the girl whose forehead was tapped turned into a love-struck flower, sighing, "No wonder you're Senior Kaonung. Even when instructing others, you radiate a charm." Senior Kaonung, "Where are you going, Kaonung?" Held up an old brick-style phone and casually said, "The phone's dead. I'm going to charge it." The class monitor is in charge of the exam. The purple-haired girl is truly a loyal fan of Kaonung. "What did you say?" "I'll follow your orders. I promise." "Yes, ma'am." "Don't worry, Senior Kaonung." So Kaonung proudly left the school. Walking down this old road, I can't help but wonder why it seems to be deteriorating more and more. Suddenly, hearing Kaonung's voice made him jump in fright. Damn, got caught skipping class. He quickly turned around in astonishment. "Mom, why are you here?" A gentle beauty who carries the aura of the national madam. This is Kaonung's mother named Tutulan. She smiled gently and said, "Aunt Lu, we're moving houses. Can you help out a bit?" Her hand was still holding a mop, showing that this wasn't a joke. Leaning on the mop, she softly asked, "Isn't it class time now? Why are you here?" Seeing him silent, she didn't press further. She wasn't harsh, smiling, and said, "Forget it. You're grown now, you have your own plans. No matter what, I support you." Then she continued her unfinished work and reminded, "When you're done, come home early, Aunt Lu. I'll cook something delicious for you tonight, 2 eggs and a piece of meat." Kaonung quickly answered, "Yes, ma'am." Just then a sharp voice rang out, "Miss Kao, the bathroom hasn't been cleaned yet." Tulan turned and replied, "Coming right now." Before leaving to work, she cared enough to remind, "Mom is going to work now. Take care of your health and come home early." Knowing his mother was worried, Kaonung obediently replied, "I know, Mom, don't worry." Aunt Lu came out and saw him enthusiastically inviting Kaonung over. "Want to come in and sit for a bit? My mom will be done soon. Don't worry." He waved politely and thanked her. Every time Aunt Lou met him, she couldn't help but sigh deeply. Such a good kid, handsome, understanding, and polite. Too bad he was born in the land of Devong. This broken place has harmed so many children. Kaonong heard her words silently, thinking that although Aunt Lou's words weren't easy to hear, they were the truth. He kept walking through the rainy mist for a while before parachuting down, whispering to himself, in the deserted place, people born in Devong land can't compare with those from the capital. Hopefully, relying on my own strength, I can change the current situation. Kaonong looked up at the gloomy sky above, becoming even more determined. But even if I was born in Devong, I will definitely find a way to become stronger. Only by becoming stronger can I give my mom a good life, a beautiful, touching scene. Suddenly, the system's voice echoed. Kaonong, who was faint-hearted, was scared out of his wits. He really was unlucky. The system screen displayed sensing the host's strong belief and desire for power. We will extend the rules regarding the time and distance of sacrifice targets to 27 remaining. After writing this, he felt even more unlucky. He wondered what happens if the mission fails. The system confidently replied with a few beeping sounds, pretending to be dumb. Kaonong suspected, "I think you're just showing off, but I have no proof." Kaonong was originally from Devong land. He basically had nothing left to lose. Gritting his teeth, he decided to take a risk. A heroic Kaonong shouted loudly, "Rather than being stuck in Devong, I must fight." Even bicycles have become motorbikes, but with such a big reputation, no one's cheering him on. The system following the workflow sequence displays the task host receiving the mission and invites to select the difficulty level. It seems the system is quite humane and doesn't go straight to a hellish form. Kaonong was shocked and exclaimed, "You can still choose the difficulty level." The system begins the tutorial mode for the task host. After completing the mission, you will receive the strongest power cleansing gift. The rewards vary depending on the difficulty level. His eyes fixed tightly on that 100% screen, absent-mindedly murmuring, "So that's how it is, let me see what the levels are." The system made a beeping sound and started introducing the difficulty levels. Normal difficulty, complete 2 tasks, 50% chance to get a basic positive treasure, 1% chance to get a special power. Next are 2 top-level difficulties, each with a different system-generated expression. Elite difficulty, complete 1 task, 100%, chance to get a primary positive treasure. 1 special power guaranteed. Nightmare difficulty, innately superior. It's the luck of this world. No need to calculate much. If you want it, you just do it. 100% chance to get a positive treasure. 100% chance to get special power. Even though the benefits of the job seem pretty good from the reviews, Kaonong didn't rush to choose but considered carefully. He was drooling, tempted by the benefits of the nightmare difficulty, thinking about which one to choose. Normal difficulty, but Kaonong is definitely no ordinary person. Without further thought, he turned his gaze to the screen that's showing the nightmare difficulty. Considering the nightmare difficulty, 100% chance to get an intermediate positive treasure, 100% chance to get special power. The perfect reward is clearly made for him. But at the last moment, he timely stopped himself, winning the battle against greed, and decided to choose the elite level. Instead, the system promptly announced the task host chose elite difficulty. Completing the mission gives a 100% chance to receive a primary positive treasure and a 50% chance to receive special power. Although not fully satisfied with the salary and benefits, he looked elsewhere and consoled himself. Forget it, let's see the hints. Important mission according to system instructions. The hint is that Tom Ngung-yi is a genius, but the price to become a genius is not small. Since childhood, Tom Ngung-yi had trained at an intermediate level. She did not have happy childhood years. Eventually, one day, she couldn't bear it and ran away from home. Along with that, the image of Ngung-yi appeared. With 2 streams of tears softly crying, the narration continued. That night, she stayed under a dirty sewer all night. That night, all she heard was the chirping sound. Kaonong suspiciously wondered. The chirping sound, the system narration started analyzing the content. The chirping sound, could it be rats? Unexpectedly, the strongest person, Tom Ngung-yi, could actually be afraid of rats. Thinking he had found her weakness, he sneered cunningly. But 1 rat is too few. I have to find 100 rats. Kaonong's scheming face was so sly that even elderly people with poor eyesight would gossip about how to behave so people would judge this kid. He looked like he was plotting something terrible. Kaonong seemed to enter a mid-level villain phase, outwardly smiling like a crazy villain, inwardly scheming, thinking, if I can't get it, I'll find just 1 rat, the biggest, fiercest, scariest one. To do that, I must catch all the fiercest, scariest rats in the Devong land. The next morning at a skyscraper known as the Golden Color Hotel, true to its name, the entire building was painted gold. In one room, the sound of training echoed. It was Ngung diligently punching the bag early that morning to train her skills. She was training passionately when someone knocked on the door. Ngung paused and said, "Lieutenant Tan, what's the matter?" Thien Hung stood seriously and reported Major Tham just switched rooms for the Major, as expected, shortly after it was stuffed full of love letters. He respectfully handed over a stack of handwritten letters apparently sent by some guys. These are the letters just sent to her, but the little brat didn't know his limits. Ngung Yi doubted is that all this time, Thien Hung's mouth twitched, his dark face muttering, "Major, you seriously underestimated the hormone levels of these kids. The upper floor is already full. I had to go to the bathroom. There wasn't even a spot left." Ngung Yi didn't bother with these nonsense things, wiping sweat, just gave the order to find someone to handle it. He saluted loudly like a soldier before leaving. Thien Hung left a letter for the lieutenant colonel, but there was also a letter he hoped she would read. Thien Hung smiled openly at someone else's pain, saying the letter writer was the son of the big shot Duong Duke here. He was waiting at the hotel door. Take a look. Ngung Yi's face darkened. She squinted and said, "What does he mean?" Thien Hung smiled ambiguously, trying hard to convince her looks like he wants to act as a matchmaker. The power dynamics in the Dai Vong area are very chaotic. In recent years, relations with the capital have become increasingly tense, and all military covert agents have been targeted for assassination. If we could use Duong Duke's connections to get internal intelligence, it could be very useful for us. Lieutenant Colonel Tam should make some contact. Before he could babble nonsense, she flicked a USB over to him. Looking at the new item in her palm, Thien Hung was puzzled and wondered what it was. Ngung Yi cracked her knuckles with a cold expression, warning him this was internal intelligence from several powerful factions in Devong. After reading this, think about what to do next. Thien Hung's nerves trembled. Internal intelligence. He knew if he didn't handle this well, he'd fail. Hastily retreating. "I'll leave now, sorry to bother you." Ngung Yi steadied her punching bag, her serious face deep in thought. An officer dare suggest using a beauty trap on Devong soil. Then suddenly she punched it hard indeed. Peace was rare here. The punching bag sacrificed itself to give Ngung Yi a moment of relief. She was okay, calm and steady afterward. She admired herself in the full-length mirror, praising her own adorable demon-like beauty. Tonight was a cold night. Those who didn't know fear and stayed outside would freeze to death. Atu was nearly losing his mind, his whole body trembling uncontrollably, telling Duong, "We've waited 6 or 7 hours already. Tham Ngung Yi won't come out." Wing Wei, despite trembling with cold, tried to look confident and said, "Of course she won't come out." The black-haired youth was confused. "Then why are we still waiting?" Wing Wei scoffed. "What do you know? The colder a girl is, the less she can refuse a handsome, refined, and attentive guy like me. Especially with tonight's rain highlighting the aura of this young master." Atu, not knowing how to handle the situation, shouted to bring him back to reality, but the rain stopped and Nui Nui is still standing there, correcting himself. "All you need is a heart." Atu saw how determined the guy was and gave up thinking. Forget the brain, just flatter him. Dong was so literary. With that style, getting into any university in the capital should be no problem. He thought Nui Nui was just a rich idiot, but it turned out he was cunning and calculating. He sneered, "Just submit this and you can get into any university you want. No big deal." No, this guy was really a reckless idiot who couldn't keep his mouth shut and blabbed the plan right in front of the hotel. Now only one last step remained. Get the hotel's internal card, enter her room, and personally deliver this gift from me. Atu followed the guy, who was quite realistic and immediately wanted to retreat. Entering Tam Ngung Yi's room, isn't that like asking for death? Wing Wei, unshaken, said stubbornly, "If you don't enter the tiger's den, how will you catch the tiger?" What do you know? Atu was listening to the lecture when suddenly he shouted, "Duong, look, who's that?" The guy glanced and immediately recognized the brainy Thengke guessing. He was that tall guy coming to bribe Lieutenant Tan, though Duong didn't pay attention to this comedy duo and just walked past. Atu glared, wanting to grimace. They say Duong is brainy, but it looks like he didn't see us. Ngwingwi wasn't about to let that slide, calling back loudly. "Brainy, wait." He heard the voice, looked over and asked, "You're here too?" Then forced a smile. "Sorry you didn't open your eyes earlier. I didn't mean to ignore you." That sentence made the guy so mad he nearly spat blood. Ngwingwi was furious, but needed a favor, so she forced herself to stay calm, coughed a few times, and started the real talk. I have a deal that can make you rich overnight. Interested? Hearing that he finally got interested, muttering thoughtfully rich overnight and agreed. What desire? Just give the money and he's hooked. Seeing how money hungry he was, Gui Nui was ready to use her smooth talk to suck him in. You can't be a little more discreet. This way I don't see any professionalism at all. He hears money and everything sounds easy. Let me try again. The guy exhales and says, forget it. Forget it. Let's get to the main point. Young man, don't laugh. Help me get an internal access card for this hotel. Once it's done, I'll give you 50 alliance dollars. Kaunung thinks it over. If caught with an internal card, it's considered theft. That's a reasonable point. The guy immediately raises the price by $100 no more. Kaunung cheers up, closes the deal, and holds out his hand to pay the deposit. The young man listens carefully and says, you still need a deposit, but since he needs help, the guy hands it over and reminds him, here, this is for you. Once I give you the money, you have to work for me. Kaunung happily says thank you, then skips off towards the Kimsak Hotel. At that moment, Atu, seeing the good money-making opportunity, also wants a position. He quickly kneels down and begs Duongka, stealing the internal card is my specialty. Give me 100 alliance dollars and I'll go. The young man Duong listens angrily and shouts straight at the black-haired guy, I need to steal the room card. Let him go. If anything happens, I won't be suspected. A pawn like this cannot be wasted. So the black-haired youth sitting outside immediately withdraws his plea and praises Duong Chachomin. But that guy carried such a big bag looking like a thief. The guy looks on laughing, don't say anymore. It really looks like it. At that moment, the two had already entered the lobby of the Kimsak Hotel. Kaunung politely asked the receptionist, excuse me, do you have any rooms available for hourly rent? The receptionist searches for a moment and replies, hourly rooms are all booked. She looks up, about to advise us, but is dazzled by Kaunung's stunning handsomeness. The receptionist seems energized, tossing all principles out the window. She stands up and shouts, there are still rooms. All our rooms are hourly rentals. She starts asking, little brother, are you the only one staying in this room? Kaunung forces a smile and replies, yes, that's right. The receptionist giggles warmly. So adorable. You're here to meet Tam Nguni by chance, right? She's on the 8th floor, room 808. Kaunung quickly interrupts, no, you misunderstood. Actually, I came to meet Lieutenant Tan by chance. As soon as she hears muscular guy, the receptionist's goosebumps flare up. Meeting Lieutenant Tan by chance. He clenches his fists. Yes, that's right. He thinks to himself that he can't let others know he came to make a sacrifice for Tam Nguni. The receptionist is shocked for a moment, then calms down and smiles, little brother, you must be joking. But if you're so ambitious, I won't dare not to help you. Lieutenant Tan is on the 7th floor, room 708. I'll rent you room 77 next door. Here you go. Room card perks really do follow handsome guys everywhere. He grabs the room card and turns to leave. Thanks, you're really kind. The main male lead's luck is truly strong. In just a few minutes, he's already making the receptionist bloom with admiration. Looking at his back, she smiles foolishly. I've never seen such a handsome guy before. The more I look, the more I like him. But Kaunung sighs regretfully while looking at the room card, muttering, just wasted 40 alliance dollars, too expensive. If I'd known, I'd have just sat in the hallway for a few hours for free. Right now, Tan Thin Hung is heading into Tam Nguni's room 808, while Tam Nguni is going to room 708, rented by Tan Thin Hung, and Kaunung rented room 707 next door. Wow, I wonder how things will unfold. Really looking forward to it. Later, Kaunung soaks in room 707, thinking, it's finally here time to relax. I already spent 40 alliance dollars. If I don't enjoy it a bit, it'll be a waste. He soaks until 0922, then surfaces with a dark, silent, disdainful look at Duong Wingwei. Just by looking, it's clear he came to find Tam Nguni, but says he's here to meet Lieutenant Tan. He senses something's off. Kaunung clings to the bathtub edge, chuckling dryly, muttering, obviously they want to use me, but who trusts Duong Wingwei? If he's already paid, I won't refuse. Those two idiots were so naive, standing in the cold wind, waiting for an hour before realizing. Wingwei is furious, teeth clenched. All right, Kaunung, you dare to trick me. Tomorrow you'll definitely get what's coming. The cold-hearted capitalist manifests, ordering his men, go get that internal card for me now. Atu heard it and got it scared out of his wits. But when he thought about that income, he got pumped up again. He got close to Nui Nui, spread his hand and said, if you can steal the internal card, that's 100 alliance points, right? But Nui Nui wasn't that clueless. He rolled his eyes and questioned sharply, Every sentence was a heavy blow to Atu. First, he attacked his looks. You want money? Are you as handsome as Cao Nang? That one sentence drained half his life force. Insulting his appearance wasn't enough. He attacked his brain. Are your achievements as good as Cao Nang's? No looks. No talent. Another harsh slap that left A2 with just one drop of blood left, and then unintentionally he kicked A2 hard, definitely painful. What gives you the right to talk prices if you can't steal the internal card? Then you're useless. He was really unlucky, no money, and getting hit and insulted. 10 minutes later, after all the bitterness and sweetness, A2 finally got the Kim Sak Hotel access card. Ngui was pretty satisfied and casually promised to buy A2 new clothes tomorrow if he performed well. A2 met him at a perfect 90-degree angle, loudly thanked him, and before entering the hotel, he straightened his jacket solemnly, mumbling, "This moment has finally come." Then he fixed his hair, looking in the mirror, saying, "Today is the most important moment of my life." Love really gives everyone their own filter. In his eyes, Guini wasn't just innocent. He was already deeply in love at first sight, drowned in the river of passion. Ngui bathed in illusions, standing in front of room 808, cheering himself on. For love through fire and sword, I have to risk my youth without regrets. He took a deep breath to calm himself before daring to swipe the card. My beloved maiden, I have arrived. Then good luck, comrade. When Ngui entered the room, oh my, a rosy atmosphere, a silhouette hidden in the bathroom. The rosy atmosphere exploded even more in Ngui's eyes. He was stunned, then laughed like a fool, face red as a monkey's butt, tears, snot, and drool pouring out, heart full of love and hope, shouting, "This is it, heaven really favors me, failure is impossible." He stared at the person in the bathroom without blinking until the other turned the doorknob, his heart full of anticipation. Hiding by the door, doesn't that look like a pervert? But it's here, finally here. Ngui looked at the tall, muscular figure, shyly admiring that flexible body. Speechless, even with long eyelashes, it would be blurry. He stroked his brown hair, looking at his face, obviously narcissistic to the extreme. I don't know where I get all this confidence. Maybe I should share some with society. Ngui lightly knocked on the bathroom door, confidently showing his personality, thinking those weak kids would never understand that the secret to love at first sight lies in the bridge effect between male and female leads, usually caused by unexpected events, making the heart race and legs tremble before sinking deep into the river of passion. I am a master of love. The other person was drying their hair and recognized Ngui's presence when hearing the knock. Seizing the moment, it was time to act. He rushed toward the guy in the high school swimsuit. If he still hadn't realized he was mistaken, bury him now. Who could save a guy rushing like a coffin aiming at that loose bathrobe? This kind of first love is definitely about creating unexpected moments that make the heart beat wildly. That's a crime. 2, I haven't seen anyone as blind as this guy. Ngui was smug, thinking Tamnini must now be emotionally shaken by the unexpected and awkward attitude he created. If he's lived this long, his ancestors must be feeling conflicted. Ngui acted too fast and dangerously. As the bathrobe fell, he was already ready. This was the perfect chance to confess. He shouted fiercely, "I've loved you for 10,000 years." He threw the bathrobe belt into the air and jumped on her like in a shoujo manga. No idea how many romance novels this guy has read, so embarrassing. Ngui proudly presented flowers, but the person opposite him wanted to beat him up. Ngui was lost in his own happy world, unaware that disaster was about to strike. 1 second later, she would scream loudly. But he had carefully prepared perfect flowery words to show off his extraordinary manly charisma, and a minute later the scream would mean she loved him deeply. Expecting her to shout inside, "Come on, shout louder!" The guy waited a while without hearing the expected sound, then realized something was wrong. Ngui just looked up, and surprise, there was no Ngungyi here, only a Thian Hung with veins bulging. Ngui was shocked to the point of turning pale, face drained of blood. Terrified, hurriedly hiding the bouquet behind her back, the situation was truly hard to explain. But right after that, he started screaming, like he saw a ghost. Any ghost would be easier to face than this. Thian Hung laughed crazily and shouted, "You son of a bitch!" He kicked with one leg. The guy flew several meters back, blood pouring from his nose like a waterfall. Thian Hung yelled loudly, "Who do you say you love?" Then came the merciless bombardment from the Central Alliance sniper position. It was truly a poetic scene. That night, the entire Kim Sak Hotel shook with Thian Hung's fury. "Get lost right now." His subordinates in the hotel were all alarmed. With serious faces, they raised their alert. "What's going on? Where is that noise coming from?" Not good. Captain Tan is in trouble. The subordinates hurriedly ran up to the 7th floor, eager to protect Lieutenant Tan. The situation in the room was even stranger. Ngui Ngui clung to a half-naked Tian Hung like a leech, trying to explain. Lieutenant Tan, please let me explain. He grew even angrier and shouted, "Take your hands off." The more he said that, the tighter she clung, using all her strength to explain, "Lieutenant Tan, it's not what you think." Damn it. Tian Hung was furious. "Take your hands off right now. Let me put my clothes on first." Unexpectedly, his enthusiastic subordinates burst in through the door. All their faces looked like they had caught someone cheating, asking in unison, "Captain, are you okay?" If you saw the scene inside, you'd be speechless too. Ngui Ngui held on tightly, sobbing. "Lieutenant Tan, please listen to me." Tian Hung lost patience and shouted, "Take your hands off. I'm telling you to take your hands off. Do you hear me?" The comrades all turned pale when they saw the full situation. Tian Hung and Ngui Ngui's faces were red as tomatoes. Even if they jumped into the Yellow River, they couldn't explain themselves. The atmosphere was cold and awkward, like a chilling wind blowing, truly embarrassing. The others decisively withdrew while the close friend quietly closed the door. "Sorry to bother you, sleep well." These guys were even more enthusiastic than the gossipy ladies at the neighborhood shop, each one excitedly discussing, "Captain's taste isn't bad. This little white checker is really pale." About a minute earlier in room 707, Chao Nang was waiting for the right moment when he heard the shouting of the subordinates protecting Lieutenant Tan. He couldn't help but wonder, what's going on? Why did Lieutenant Tan run upstairs? So Cao Nang couldn't control his curiosity. He leaned out to find out, then coincidentally saw Ngung Yi passing by. He was shocked and wondered, "Tumnan Ngung Yi, why is she here?" Cao Nang was afraid of being discovered, so he just peeked a little before closing the door and hiding inside. The situation was becoming more and more confusing. Actually, the person upstairs was Tan Tian Hung. That's why Tam Ngung Ni was the one in room 708. However, he didn't dwell on this too long. No matter what was happening upstairs, this opportunity could not be missed. So 10 minutes later, he carried a huge bag and infiltrated Tam Ngung Ni's room. Cao Nung jumped in through the window. Didn't he look like a thief? The initial success made him breathe a sigh of relief. Finally inside, I'm still not very skilled with this tactical gear. He glanced at the backpack and discovered the product used during the school performance. His face immediately turned pale. Looks like it's definitely her room. This really is Tamnan Gongni's room. He put on the backpack and tried to find a hiding spot, then noticed a small black capsule on the table. It reminded him of when she controlled that metal dragon. Cao Nung fondled the capsule, trying to suppress the greed rapidly growing inside him. This is a high-end capsule Tam Gongni uses to store energy. If sold outside, it'd be worth at least 1,000 Alliance credits. Calm down, it wasn't easy to even touch this. He didn't forget his main mission when breaking in here. The most important thing was to find a safe place to hide. So Cao Nung examined every nook in the room, hoping to find a safe hiding spot. After a while of scouting every corner in the room, finally only the wardrobe seemed feasible. Searching again and again, this was the only place to hide. He was hesitating when the owner of the room was about to come in. Cao Nung's time was up. Gritting his teeth, thinking it was risky, he turned back. So he opened the 2 doors of the wardrobe, decisively climbed inside. No time to hesitate anymore. Luckily, just as he closed the wardrobe door, she opened the room door. Tham Ngung Yi walked in without knowing there was an intruder. Cao Nung sat inside the wardrobe, terrified, too scared to move, constantly reassuring himself to stay calm. Surely I didn't leave any traces outside. Tham Ngung Yi didn't notice. She went straight to the bathroom and turned on the shower. Cao Nung, hiding in the wardrobe, could hear clearly. Relax a bit, the sound of water flowing. She's taking a shower. But the danger isn't over yet. Cao Nung could only pray to heaven. Hopefully after she finishes showering, she'll obediently go to sleep. 10 minutes later, Ngung Yi came out of the bathroom with a facial mask on. She changed into slippers and headed toward the wardrobe. Cao Nung silently guessed. Hearing footsteps, it sounded like she was going outside. Then when he realized where she was headed, he got scared. She passed by. No way, don't joke with me. Cao Nung could only clutch the nearest dresses to cover himself. When Ngung Yi opened the door, surprised, she was wearing a cucumber mask, so she could barely see anything. She fixed her mask with one hand and reached into the wardrobe with the other. Her hand reached exactly where the dress was covering him. Cao Nung was terrified. He was done for. Just as her finger was about to touch him, she suddenly stopped. Luckily for him, today she wasn't wearing clothes in the spot where he was hiding. She grabbed the dress next to it and kicked the wardrobe door shut with one foot. Then she hummed cheerfully. "Little bunny, be good now." Open the door, open it now, I want to come in. Truly a close call. Kaunong finally escaped this predicament. Reflexively, he pulled out a piece of clothing to check it. Judging this bunny outfit, it was actually her pajamas. So this is Tam Ngung-Yi's taste, Kaunong murmured. Mask and cucumber slices. Ngung-Yi, satisfied, wore the mask and fell sound asleep. Kaunong nodded in admiration. Truly the representative of a young lady. Ngung-Yi gradually fell into a deep sleep. Perhaps she was having a nightmare. Her eyelashes soaked with moisture, and her face showed faint worry. The space in the dream was a dark, dirty place. The stench hit hard. The light shining through iron bars made it look like a sewer. Child version of Tam Ngung-Yi huddled on a pile of soaked cardboard. Wearing old, dirty clothes, she stared blankly at the gentle light. Then the dream shifted suddenly. In the deep darkness were fierce, red glowing eyes. Suddenly a rat screeched. Then a horde of sewer rats all ran toward young Ngung-Yi. She could barely move, her face pale with horror. Screaming, "Oh, no, don't come here, Ngung." Was startled awake by the nightmare. Filled with panic, screaming inside, "Don't come here!" She quickly sat up and reflexively looked around. Confirmed safe all around, entering alert mode. After a moment of checking the room, she felt a little more at ease. Her sleep-deprived, haggard face was sad, thinking back on that dream. Then suddenly the sound of dripping echoed. It was exactly the same as in the dream. The dripping sound made her already terrified nerves even worse. Ngung-Yi tensed up. She immediately raised her alertness. Then Ngung-Yi smelled a familiar scent. This scent and sound, could it be that? Reflexively, she grabbed the phone on her desk and called room service, her voice trembling. Hello, service. Hello, can you hear me? Unfortunately, that phone is now useless. Ngung-Yi kept calling, but no one answered. She felt even more uneasy. But right after that, her fear peaked. She only saw piles of rats in the room, each one extremely cunning. And their obvious target was Ngung-Yi. Frozen on the bed, she was stared at by those haunting eyes. Overwhelmed by fear, Ngung-Yi trembled under the blanket, wanting to hide. The author really played a cruel trick. It's terrifying to watch. But life didn't spare her. This nightmare kept going with the squeaks of the lead rat. The rats seemed like they were just waiting for this moment. Then a child covered by a blanket appeared near Ngung-Yi, making her even more scared. At this moment, her fear had reached Everest's peak. Ngung-Yi wanted to vanish from this space immediately. Two jaws clicked loudly along with drops of desperate tears. But the worm that stepped on twists. When she couldn't take it anymore, she had no choice but to fight back. She aggressively waved the blanket to swat away the rats swarming around. Get lost, you weak, slimy rats. They all hit the wall, dying instantly without time to resist. But if that was all, it still wouldn't be enough for Ngung-Yi to overcome her past trauma. Her face was pale and her spirit severely shattered. She sat down, muttering to comfort herself. It's just a dream. I'm definitely still dreaming. Unfortunately, those self-hypnosis words had no effect at all. Ngung-Yi lunged forward. However, she couldn't fulfill her wish to escape. Her breathing grew heavier as she was blocked at a key point. The thing blocking her way was a sewer rat even taller than she was. Ngung-Yi nearly froze in place, her fear magnified 1,000-fold. She found no hope at all and panicked, pleading, "Please no, don't come here, you huge, stinky, black rat." Strange as it sounds, it leapt forward to pounce on her. She could only tremble uncontrollably facing it. But Ngung-Yi was still a fighter, so by reflex she gave a full-force punch to the rat's belly, making it spray a burst of saliva. The rat was hit backward, crashing and cracking the wall. Surprisingly, the wall didn't break after that hit. The infrastructure was really solid. After punching, Ngung-Yi was nearly out of breath, her fist still holding some leftover energy. Dust gradually cleared to reveal the rat's entire body. Seeing it didn't wake immediately, she thought she might finally survive the night. But the rat suddenly opened its eyes and sprang up. Ngung-Yi's legs went weak. She collapsed exhausted. Now she was completely at the mercy of the rat's attack. Ngung-Yi pleaded with a trembling voice. "Don't come here. Please, I beg you." The rat ignored her, raising its head and screeching loudly. It slowly approached Ngung-Yi. She had no will to resist, only helplessly looked up at it. After enduring so many shocks and terrors this night, Ngung-Yi was scared unconscious. The rat didn't expect her to faint so early in the fight. Suddenly it blinked suspiciously. The rat, uneasy, leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Hey, Tam Ngung-Yi." But she was so scared she was completely unaware of anything. After confirming Ngung-Yi was truly unconscious, Kaunong finally unzipped a metal piece which immediately fell down. Obviously, he was also somewhat seriously injured from that hit. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth as he groaned softly, "Ugh, that hurts." He couldn't help but sigh. That punch was really brutal. Kaunong glanced at the metal piece by his feet and murmured, using the dark times of childhood to scare people. Almost got punched to death for it. Can you believe that? But he quickly set that aside and told himself, at least the final sacrifice has begun. At the same time, he went to scare Ngong Yi. Ngui, covered in injuries, was supported by A2 and taken back to the hotel, shouting angrily, "Tathin Hung, just wait." A2 said, "Not brave like this guy, he's way too cowardly and weak." He advised Lundung CA, "We should leave here now, just in case something unexpected happens," afraid that Ngui Nui, just beaten like a savage dog, would bite anyone she met. Poor A2 was treated like a punching bag grabbed by the collar with a near-wide grip. "What are you scared of? I'm the one getting hit. What the hell are you afraid of?" He didn't dare to provoke him, further hurriedly stroking Brother Duong's fur. "Calm down. Ngui Nui is naturally arrogant, never this aggrieved." With a scowling face, he declared, "There's no way we can leave like this today." A2 also wanted to warn Brother Duong, "Don't get worked up. Chi Hong has already warned us." But those words only made him more fired up. "That Chi Hong guy only dared to warn us, that's all." Ngui confidently and arrogantly said, "Except for my father, no one else can interfere with the affairs of Devong land." A2 never expected to hear such earth-shattering news. Shocked, he exclaimed, "What, Brother Duong? Did you say Chi Hong wants to meddle in the affairs of Devong?" As Ngui ignored his pig-like scowl and sneered, "The social order in Devong has long since collapsed. The three great powers are the real emperors of Devong land." The more he spoke, the more arrogant he became, acting knowledgeable and explaining, "The alliance wants to control Devong. They must ally with the factions of these three powers." Foolish Atu listened and believed every word, curiously asking Brother Duong, "You mean the alliance will choose Ngui?" Raising his middle finger to the sky, firmly confident and certain, "You don't need to ask, they have no reason not to choose me." But Emperor Rabbit A2 still felt uneasy. "Brother Duong, but Tam Nong Ni is from the military. What if he reveals his true nature here?" All he saw was a sly, contemptuous smirk as he sneered, "The military? What military?" "The capital hopes. As long as I hold this, the military won't dare touch me. Just a soldier used to a genius can be a huge support." The more he talked, the more excited he got, vile thoughts spilling out like a stream. His awkward, lecherous demeanor spilled everything to Atu. As long as today the rice is cooked into a meal, the alliance will have no choice but to compromise. When that time comes, this young master will soothe her, then place a kiss on her lips. "Tell me, won't the military support me?" Atu is truly a loyal junior, a perfect fool. He wriggled, clapped sharply, and quickly slapped the horse's butt without missing a beat. Brother Duong is so formidable, even the capital hopes must take Atu with them. Ngui, pleased with his obedience, casually agreed to take him along. Then we have to see his reaction, since Plan A failed from the start. Ngui immediately switched to the backup plan. He pulled out a test tube, murmuring that Tam Nong Ni was probably already asleep by now. Maybe it's time. Inside the test tube was a pale pink gas. He held it under his nose, commenting on the faint herbal scent that even immortals would find unbearable in the dark. By now, Nong Ni was completely unconscious. Meanwhile, Xiaonang was removing his cosplay costume, preparing to act. One hand wiped sweat from his forehead, the other muted the sound effects. He was satisfied, thinking it was worth enduring an hour under the sewer to record such vivid sounds. Just when he thought he could relax, the clock struck 11:15. Kaunong hurriedly rushed around once again. The ritual time was near. It was time to prepare. He pulled out the prepared tools. The ritual required fire and fresh blood. The candle was considered fire. As for fresh blood, only chicken blood from the market would do. Candles were arranged in a circle with equal spacing between each. Strange symbols were drawn in blood at the base of the candles. Nong Ni was placed right in the center. Then Kaunong used a brush to paint on her face. Next came the ritual diagram. After finishing it, he admired his work and couldn't help but admire himself. Truly, his artistic talent could be considered genius. But with little time left, he stopped admiring himself and continued the unfinished work. Kaunong, taking advantage of the deserted place, relaxed in a comfortable pose and shouted the final step, the slogan of his bloodied, passionate youth. After chanting it was 11:50, he held that pose for a while but still saw no reaction at all. Kaunong is so outdated. Waiting and waiting, nothing happens. Starting to doubt the system's authenticity. What's going on? The merchant part said there should be trust between both sides, yet the system is so slow. The system announces that the sacrifice results are still incomplete. The slogan isn't loud enough. If the mission isn't completed within 20 seconds, it's considered a failure. Hearing that unreasonable demand, Cao Nang couldn't help but curse, "Are you crazy? In the dead of night like this, how do you expect me to be loud? But now that it's come to this, if I don't succeed, I'll be even more pissed." So he gathers his energy and prepares to shout. No choice but to go with the flow. Can't give up. Just as he was about to let out a loud roar, he suddenly smelled a familiar scent. Cao Nang instantly froze and forgot to say his lines. Seconds later, his whole body, legs, and arms weakened completely. Helplessly sitting down, he covered his nose and thought, "This is herbal medicine scent." After a moment, the door of room 708 opened slightly. Ngui entered the room, reminding his subordinate A2 to watch the door carefully. He responded quickly, "Okay, Brother Duong, rest assured." Just after entering, he was startled, then his face hardened. He stared coldly at Cao Nang like nosy neighbors and said loudly, "Huh, Cao Nang?" Then recalling tonight's painful experience, he slapped his forehead and muttered, "Did I go into the wrong room again?" Atu behind him objected, "No, Brother Duong, look." Following Atu's pointing, Ngui saw Tam Nhi in an incomplete ritual. He loudly called out, "Tam Ngong Nhi," but that only made things more confusing. He looked at both of them, muttering, "Wait, what is going on here? Are you two having a candlelit dinner? No way. Why is Cao Nang here?" Ngui couldn't figure it out. So he pointed directly at Cao Nang and accused, "Cao Nang, you're really bold to barge into Tam Huang Nhi's room. What did you do to her? Her face looks like this under the influence of the sedative." Cao Nang was completely drained at this point. His head was heavy, and he felt dizzy, questioning himself. "Why do I have no strength at all?" Ngui watched him struggling on the floor and grinned wickedly, concluding, "Looks like you've been hit by this young master's sedative." Once confirming he had no strength to resist, he shamelessly declared the crime, "Cao Nang, today's events were all planned for you. Just wait, I'll clean up Tam Ngong Nhi after I'm done playing. Everything that happened here today is your doing." The villain's line about dying from too much drama is spot on. Ngui kept talking, "And I, this young master, am the hero who saved Tam Ngong Nhi." Thanks to his chatter, Cao Nang had time to regain strength. He took a deep breath and shouted loudly, recalling the passionate, bloody youthful years. Cao Nang mustered his remaining strength and shouted the incantation of those passionate, bloody, and glorious youthful years. Lying face down inside the sacrifice circle, Ngui and Atu covered their ears to avoid deafening noise. He didn't understand what Cao Nang was doing and grumbled angrily, "What's this sudden shouting about?" Then he suddenly realized sneaking into someone else's room made him jumpy and said, "Not good if he keeps shouting like this. Someone's going to smell danger soon." Ngui immediately ordered Atu to hold him back, absolutely no letting him escape. Without hesitation, Atu replied, "Okay, plan to exit in turn." Ngui, thinking quickly, stepped back, and together with Atu held Cao Nang tight, mumbling, "At this point, there's no hope left for Tam Ngong Nhi. At least he can be considered a hero who saved the beauty." Cao Nang was completely suppressed and began to doubt why the system hadn't completed the task yet. Could it be that this broken system is messing with me? The system seemed to hear Cao Nang's thoughts. In the blink of an eye, it showed a reaction. He was relieved, brother. It appeared the system manifested with good news, that the host had passed the capability test and completed the sacrifice mission of Tam Ngong Nhi. The screen disappeared and changed back to a personal account interface with a profile photo Cao Nang, age 18. The screen continued to display information showing that he was a 12th grade student in class 12-2 at the 3rd Advanced High School of Devongland. Next, it displayed a blood energy value assessment of 25 out of 101 at the maximum limit status. Vitality value 10 out of 50 current status, also at maximum limit. The elemental potential talent for iron is 19% copper, 0% silver, or friend gold, 0% phosphorus, 1% sulfur, 1% silicon, 8%. The higher the innate talent rate, the greater the compatibility with energy. The system evaluated everything down to the smallest detail. No special abilities were detected. Current evolution progress is 1 out of 10 degrees, completed according to the system test results. The host's appearance value is perfect. Blood energy value is average. Blood value is average. Vitality value is average. The innate potential talent is low grade. Although the evaluation table praised him as handsome, Cao Nang was not satisfied at all, fuming and thinking, "Is this some kind of mistake? Perfect appearance is considered objective. I can overlook the average blood energy and vitality values. The system brutally showed him a comparison image between him and Thian Hung, which made him frustrated. He screamed in agony, but with low innate potential talent. Are you sure you didn't pick the wrong person? My highest compatibility with the iron element is just 19%. What the hell is this? The system showed no agreement or consolation, calmly announcing that the host had completed the task with excellent difficulty. The host will receive a baptism of the strongest power, additionally 100% chance to receive a primary Yang treasure, and 50% chance to receive a special power. Upon hearing the baptism of the strongest power activate in his mind, Cao Nang was left with only 2 words: strongest. His eyes sparkling with stars. The system proceeded to scan the sacrifice, Nguyen beginning the sacrifice process to obtain the innate potential talent of the sacrifice subject, Tam Ngong Nhi. After a thorough rescan, it once again confirmed that extraordinary innate talent. The conclusion of the innate potential talent analysis, Tam Ngong Nhi possesses an extraordinarily large innate potential talent reservoir. Fortunately, the machinery operated smoothly today, and the task was completed in no time. Successfully copied Tam Ngong Nhi's innate potential talent. After the copying process came the extraction of the essence inside, beginning to enhance the power for the copied innate potential talent of Tam Ngong Nhi, and within seconds the system successfully generated a sphere similar to the extracted innate talent. Joyfully announced successful enhancement. The innate potential talent value increased exponentially according to the data. Cao Nang was so happy he shouted, "It increased." It really increased, celebrating. Not long after the system announced the update was complete, showing a window with values changed by 180 degrees. The innate potential talent after enhancement: iron, 100% copper, 100% tin, 100% silver, 100% gold, 100% phosphorus, 100% sulfur, 100% silicon, 100%. Looking at the perfect stat table before him, Cao Nang smiled happily. All innate potential talent was full, but when his eyes shifted to the evolution line of 1 out of 10, he immediately wondered, wait a minute, what does this evolution mean? At this moment, Cao Nang was pressed face down on the floor, but didn't mind, fully focused on pondering evolution. Could it be that the completion degree of that evolution line means the person can complete evolution? How can it be increased? By completing tasks right. The most important thing is completing the evolution degree, but then what will it transform into? Will the superhuman transform into a kung fu master or become a fierce Lolita-looking type? Before he could think any longer, the system continued to distribute rewards. The host received a primary Yang treasure and simultaneously obtained a special power, the 3rd broadcast exercise routine for elementary and middle school students called Youth Dance. Friendly reminder: when the host performs the 3rd broadcast exercise routine for elementary and middle school students, they can receive a happy mood status. In this state, training speed increases by 50%, blood energy recovery speed increases by 300%, and negative states are dispelled. Although the reward is quite good, the activation condition is way too annoying. Cao Nang couldn't hold back his sarcastic mouth, cursing inwardly about this crazy exercise routine, asking, "Can you please take it back? Could it be that from now on, every time I train, I have to dance?" Cao Nang, although you've never been normal, you still need some dignity. Wei saw him muttering like he was autistic, both annoyed and confused, and asked why this kid kept babbling like that. Tu raised his eyebrows, guessing maybe he's just too scared and has gone dumb. At this moment, Nguyen suddenly moved. Cao Nang unwillingly thought, no way. Why would she wake up right now? Her whole body was wrapped in a thin layer of energy, the situation extremely critical. For the moment, Cao Nang had to give up his pride. He decided there was no other choice now. Exercise is exercise. He placed both hands on the floor, ready to push himself up. Wei saw this and pressed down harder. Muttering, "Hey kid, what are you mumbling?" Tu shouted along, "Better not try anything." Cao Nang shouted, "Cooperate," disregarding everything, and somehow managed to stand up, swinging the 2 away. Wei was stunned as he got hit right. Cao Nang practiced while counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He and Tu held their faces, overwhelmed by pain. That slap had sent a shock straight to his brain, waking him up and causing him to shout, holding him back. Maybe Hung Tao got scared out of her mind. Don't let him cause chaos. Tu held his cheek and said, "Okay." When the 2 tried to suppress him, the system notified them to do the second move, chest stretch. Just as Tu approached, he was suddenly shoved into Chaonang's stomach. After practicing a bit, the stats clearly improved blood circulation, 50 stamina, 21. Seeing the effect, Chaonang quickly dropped his prejudice against this exercise, kept increasing it, and it really worked. Seeing his junior get clobbered senseless, Ngui was frustrated and rushed over to the useless guy. Even this bookworm couldn't handle it. The system announced it was time to perform the third move. With a timely kick, Chaonang delivered a beautiful strike. Two-person team, one clutching his stomach, the other holding his chin, fully injured. Ngui angrily thought the guy was crazy, really hard to deal with. Out of options, he could only show him some real strength. Then the guy pulled out a knife, his face sinister and gloomy, staring at him intensely. Before Ngui could act, someone knocked on the door. Major Tham. What happened? One sentence stunned the three young men in the room. All three thought simultaneously with complex emotions Tam Ngungyi is a major. Of course, the one who panicked the most was still Chaonang. He couldn't help but curse loudly in his mind. Damn system, I didn't expect it to require me to sacrifice a major. Is this what they call having the guts to act, but not to endure? The soldier received no reply, knocked harder, calling out loudly, Major Tham, what happened? Major Tham, upon learning her identity, all of Ngui's confidence drained away. He shuddered thinking Tam Ngungyi is an 18-year-old major, already a major in the Alliance, the youngest major in the Alliance with powerful backing. While he was scared out of his wits, he heard the door open. The two comedians glanced over and saw that Chaonang, without them noticing, had finished his exercise and was ready to escape. The guy panicked and shouted loudly, Chaonang, you little brat, what are you trying to do? He stood at the window ledge, smiling brightly, saying, Sorry, this pot is really heavy, better for you two to carry it. Ngui noticed the pupae in his hand and muttered in shock, This bastard, that thing looks like what was on Tam Ngungyi before. Before the guy could think it through, he threw the pupa into the room. It looked solid but was actually quite fragile. The pupa cracked the moment it hit the ground. Without hesitation, Chaonang leaned out and smiled faintly, saying goodbye. From the crack, an astonishing heat burst out. The dragon from the performance suddenly appeared, its mouth spewing lava. Its body was too large for the room, causing the four water walls to collapse. Everything happened too fast for the two comedians to react. The group outside room 708 felt the energy from the metal dragon. Impatient to break the door and rescue Jia Tinhung led the group. Seeing it was real, they immediately took a defensive stance against the dragon. Then he noticed Ngui's face, black as soot, gritting his teeth. It's you again. Hearing that deep, hellish sound, the man trembled uncontrollably. Next, he noticed Ngungyi unconscious in the strange circle. It was obvious some suspicious ritual was being performed. Ngui reflexively tried to explain, but the dagger in his palm only made him look more suspicious. Lieutenant Tan said, It wasn't really me. I came to save her. The real culprit was Thin Hung. Without listening to his excuse, he charged forward, grabbing the group and shouted, Damn it! Although the strength is truly immeasurable. Ngui slammed straight into the wall, breaking a big hole. After that hit, he discovered the intoxicating scent. His anger instantly surged, grinding his teeth harshly. Your old grudges combined with new ones only fuel Thin Hung's rage more, grabbing the guy and wanting to strike him again. You damn dog. How dare you curse the lieutenant with that intoxicating scent? Ngui dare not look him straight in the eye, trembling like a leaf, trying to explain Lieutenant Tan. The situation is not what you think, but the scene is so clear, there's no way he can slip away, though Thin Hung didn't believe it anyway. He shouted loudly, questioning, Clear witnesses, clear evidence, you still want to deny it. Today I'm going to kill you, thinking the guy would get a beating when an unnamed wind suddenly appeared, stirring the air, a strong gust blocking the assault. By chance, Thin Hung was standing in a position that blocked the wind for Ngui. The dragon, which had been motionless like dead, suddenly came to life, its pale eyes glowing blue, loyally hovering around its owner. Ngungyi now stood upright with a stronger, more powerful aura than ever before. She was still not fully conscious, her gaze determined and serious as she declared, You can't scare me. I won't be afraid of you anymore, absolutely not. Thin Hung could tell she wasn't fully alert and turned pale with fear. Lieutenant Tam, with 15 years of experience, immediately ordered his subordinates to disperse. Hurry up, run fast. Words were slow, but what happened was fast. The metal dragon opened its mouth like a thunderclap. Moving more violently, shaking the whole room fiercely, radiating enough heat to roast a herd of buffalo. As it moved, huge boulders fell like meteorites. Thin Hung's men, used to situations like this, quickly evacuated only. Ngui was unlucky. He was too scared to move, hurriedly grabbing his jacket pocket to negotiate. Don't kill me. Wait, don't kill me. I have something important to give you. But Nung Yi wasn't listening at all, her tail whipped mercilessly. The item in Nui Nui's pocket fell out, bouncing and flying out of the room before he fainted. He couldn't help feeling aggrieved. Why? Why must I suffer this fate? Thin Hung's men stood outside the room, not daring to enter. He urgently shouted to the captain, "If this continues, the hotel will collapse." He shouted a few symbolic words, then recklessly led his subordinates to run away. Let the hotel collapse then. While fleeing, Thin Hung grew more horrified, realizing Tam Ngung Yi not only could manifest energy, but could also devour it. Manifesting energy combined with devouring is a sign of destruction. At the same time, Chao Nung, swinging outside the room, saw the explosion, clearly watching the massive blast. His professional instincts kicked in. That was a fierce hit. If I'd known that Iron Dragon was that strong, I wouldn't have jumped down. Although this force, if sold, would fetch at least 5,000 Alliance dollars or more. Soon after coordinating his limbs skillfully, he landed safely. Cao Nung struck a pose, happily smiling, and said, "Safe landing." Immediately after, the object that fell from Nui Nui's pocket hit him right on the head. Cao Nung picked it up, looking puzzled. This is a metal storage device. Cao Ning looked it over several times, but still didn't know where it came from, so he put it in his pocket. A metal storage device. How did this fall from up there? Whatever, just keep it and figure it out later. Before leaving the fiery crime scene, he waved repeatedly, as if saying goodbye to friends, then suddenly remembered he forgot something important. Oh, right. In the hotel lobby, the receptionist was nervously calling the hotel's management. Yes, those people, Lieutenant Tan Thin Hung, rented 2 floors. I don't know what happened either. Cao Nung went to the counter clear-headed to return the key card. "Miss, I'm checking out." The receptionist was too busy for flirting, coldly told him to just leave the card there. He smiled brightly and thanked her. After checking out smoothly, Cao Nung left right away, the smooth process boosting his confidence. In dangerous situations, a person's value shines even more. He began to speed up running while thinking nonstop, not knowing if those 2 fools would reveal him, if Tan Thin Hung would investigate him, or if Tam Ngung Yi could even recognize his face. Cao Nung just wondered for a moment, then threw all worries aside excitedly, thinking that if any of these things got discovered, he could lose his life anyway. It's better to just believe in yourself as a koi fish. Everything will find a way to be solved. Beauty is justice. He kept running like crazy until he entered an old alley and finally stopped. Having run this far, maybe there's no problem anymore. Cao Nung relaxed his mind, pressed the button on the loot check screen, and suddenly remembered he hadn't opened the primary Duong treasure yet. The Duong in the system window opened wide, spitting out a small white pill with blue wave patterns. The pill appeared in Cao Nung's palm, and he curiously exclaimed that this must be the soulmate system's answer, a marrow cleansing pill. The reminder said the marrow cleansing pill has 2 effects. First, if blood energy and vitality values are not full, it can temporarily raise both to their maximum limits. Second, if blood energy and vitality are already full, depending on the situation, it can reevaluate those values. After reading the introduction, Cao Nung couldn't help but blurt out, "Immortal pill, huh?" What caught his attention most was the last line about reevaluating blood energy and vitality based on the situation. But since having the system, Cao Nung had been absorbing a lot of new knowledge. He used gaming terms to make it easier to understand. Potential talent represents the level of control and power derivation, like a powerful skill in a game. He carefully reread his stats, excited to think all his potential talent attributes were now at 100% only. His blood and vitality values were still at half. This pill was truly a beacon of light in the darkness of his life. When he got home, it was already around midnight. The moon tonight was so big and round. Amidst the old dark neighborhood, only Cao Nang's house had light and an open door waiting for him. He saw Mommy sleeping with her head on the dining table. Cao Nung tiptoed inside lightly, but the floor was so old that some boards creaked. That sound woke up his beloved mother, Tulan. She rubbed her eyes, looked up at her son, and mumbled, "You're back, huh?" Not only did she not question why he was late, but she also brought out some plates of food. Aunt Lu gave her 2 eggs and a piece of meat to warm up for her son. After serving the warm dishes, she gently said, "Eat up." She watched him eat and asked with concern if the smoke and oil weren't too harsh for him. Cao Nung picked up some food and replied, "No, the aroma covers it all, Mom." After a few bites, he seriously told Tulan that the college entrance exam was just a few days away, and he planned to apply to the military university in the capital, hoping she would be reassured that he would definitely pass. Cao Nung said while eating that he would figure out the 1,000 VND registration fee himself, and she didn't need to worry. Tulan smiled kindly and said, "Okay." He quickly finished dinner, barely touching the meat. Filial, he said, "Mom, I'm full now. This meat is really good. You should have some." Tulan replied she had already eaten. Kaunong seemed skeptical, picked up a piece, brought it to her mouth, leaning over as if to feed her, smiling and saying, "Eat some more." Tulan couldn't resist her son's filial piety and stopped him, saying enough, then took the chopsticks to eat herself. Kaunong became even more determined, telling Tulan to wait until he passed the military university entrance exam, then they would move to the capital, hoping to eat meat every day. She heard everything but didn't comment. Tulan took a symbolic bite, then stood up, saying she was sleepy and going to bed. "You should sleep early too. You have school tomorrow. Make sure to finish the rest of the meat." Seeing the meat barely touched, he couldn't help but exhale deeply. Kaunong knew his mother didn't dare eat, saving it for him, which made him even more determined. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm grown up now and can be the family's pillar." The system quickly picked up a signal, detecting the host's intense obsession with money. A screen popped up at lightning speed. Kaunong hadn't even had time to feel sad before becoming shocked. On the screen was a headline that basically said, "A man's duty starts here." He swiped the progress bar to the max, and several other windows popped up in quick succession, making him unable to keep up reading. The top window displayed a fiery slogan alongside system illustrations. "A man must shield the whole sky with one hand. You may lack strength but cannot lack money. Youth must be full of passion." The 1,000 VND registration fee alone doesn't prove a man's true strength. Real men must keep moving forward courageously to face challenges. Even if they become 100 times richer, they still won't give up easily. This mission kicks off a man's responsibility, requiring you to earn 100,000 alliance coins within 3 days. Kaunong read the mission details with a serious expression, filled with doubt and even disbelief because he had never seen that much money in his life. 100,000 coins. This mission is just too unreasonable. Kaunong couldn't help but overthink it. "What do you think?" he asked anxiously and urgently. "So the next mission I have to do is rob a bank, right?" The system is processing. It can't answer immediately. It measured and scanned the data for a while, then cracked a trademark smile at the normal difficulty level. The system will provide the user with 2 pieces of information related to completing the mission. If you complete the mission at normal difficulty, you will receive a reward of turn of that 100,000. Additionally, you will get a 100% chance to receive a primary Yang treasure. For elite difficulty, the system will provide you with 2 pieces of information related to mission completion. If you complete the mission at elite difficulty, you will receive a reward of 50% of that 100,000. Plus, you have a 100% chance to get a primary Yang treasure and a 10% chance to get a medium-level Yang treasure. At the end, its eyes turned into US dollar signs with some barely encouraging words. "Truly a capitalist system with nightmare-level difficulty. I was born talented. I am the luck of the new world not to be pressured and oppressed. Starting the mission is a risk. If you complete it at nightmare difficulty, you will receive a 100% reward of 100,000, plus a 100% chance to get a medium-level Yang treasure and a 10% chance at a lucky draw. Time is money. Please choose your difficulty quickly. Choosing carefully will help you grow. The bike can turn into a motorcycle, but before transforming, hold your head high and see if your lucky aura is strong enough." The system threw a choice at him and forced him to pick a game mode himself. Easy means you turn into a chicken. Hard means you turn into rice grains. After its long advertisement, it disappeared. Kaunong couldn't help but flip the middle finger, commenting, "This stupid system even knows to take a middleman's profit. Keeping up with the times, huh? Now's the time to show 1,000% spirit and speak up. It's a challenge, right?" Real men definitely dare to face challenges. Innate talent minus 50% is no problem. It's earning 100,000 alliance coins in 3 days that's tough. Why should I be afraid? But when choosing, he slid past the nightmare mode he was used to and glanced at the other options. "I choose normal difficulty." The system did not expect he wouldn't fall for the bait this time. It had to admire his ability to stretch and contract like that. Continuing the process, the system will provide the user with 2 pieces of information related to completing the mission. It can help the user complete the mission. Completing the mission at normal difficulty will reward you with 10% of 100,000 coins, plus a 100% chance to receive a primary Yang treasure. Kaunong smirked confidently, thinking this condition was obviously designed to lure people into crime. Sitting in his private room, he felt a bit smug, thinking his defense was stronger than everything else. The system, even if a bit clueless about the user, said what it meant immediately. It gave a hint the metal storage device the user picked up might contain the answer. He felt very dissatisfied hearing this. Was this even a hint? Why would the fact that Lao Tzu picked up a storage device be your hint? Are you mentally challenged or what? The system seemed to hear the insults and process them internally. Kaonan gave a second hint. 2 a.m. is when defenses are weakest and the only opportunity. Prepare carefully with hammer, wrench, shovel, or else the mission will fail. Kaonan guessed it was just for fun, but now combining these tools he panicked. Really robbing a bank, huh? Still, this confirmed how clueless the system was. He couldn't help but feel lucky to have this second hint. It was clearly the key. If he had been tricked into choosing elite difficulty earlier, he would have failed. Kaonan became even more cautious about the creature called the system. Indeed, when you need to be prepared, you must be prepared. After all, the mission time is only 3 days. He immediately began investigating the first clue. Kaonan carefully inserted the card into the slot on the CPU. After a moment, his computer displayed the results. Kaonan read the screen and disliked the fact that there was a folder inside and even a double password. This ridiculous system, if I weren't a top student, this clue would be a dead end. Thinking that, he clicked the mouse several times and finally unlocked the file. Then 3 circles appeared on the computer screen. Soon it reached 65% loading. After a while of exploring, he finally understood what was hidden in the storage. He still thought he was about to rob a bank. It seemed to be a cross-sectional internal structure map of some place. Could it be the bank vault? But then he immediately dismissed that possibility. No, this map looks more like a factory, and it even arranged various types of dangerous weapons. Wait, the label on top has these 2 words which a smart top student like him quickly understood. Kaonan guessed the meaning in just a few seconds. Unexpectedly, this clue related to such important information. He suddenly shouted out the origin of the great catastrophe to explain this incident. It must be said that long ago, a great catastrophe was caused by a flood from the very beginning of this world's existence, and this world has experienced a period of turmoil lasting 100 years. Nowadays, these 2 words bring humanity a new civilization, inventing countless cocoons and the uprising of energy warriors. It is very closely related to these 2 words. Because the information is so scarce, Kaonan could not deduce anything further. But this is all he knows about those 2 words. The exile land now has no right to receive intelligence about those 2 words. He zoomed in on the file containing those 2 words, read carefully, and sequentially questioned himself why this map had that label. Come on, is this really those 2 words? But no, it can't be those 2 words. Maybe it's a factory. The more Kaonan looked, the more suspicious he became. A dream toy factory. Could a toy factory really be connected to those 2 words? He tried to find the location of the dream toy factory on the map, and even more mysteries surfaced. The location is a bit far. It closed 4 months ago. Kaonan continued to check information about the factory and found some ghost stories related. He exclaimed in shock, what kind of ghost stories are these? No way are there still people who believe in these things nowadays. The most common stories are about a spirit killing people, a girl in a red dress dancing, and a boy wearing a mask. That said, watching ghost stories about the factory at midnight, even Kaonan felt scared. He took a sip of water to calm himself and stubbornly said clearly, someone is just talking nonsense. After the ghost stories passed, Kaonan thought about the upcoming mission and couldn't help but feel uneasy. The first clue gave the location, the second clue gave the time and tools. But a factory that's already closed, robbing a bank, would be easier than this. The more he thought, the more questions remained unanswered. At a dead end, he hopelessly thought, unless there really are those 2 words in this factory, or at least something related to them. Knowing he wasn't going to rob a bank, and combining with the upcoming tour location, Kaonan began thinking about the tool's purpose. Hint to remind me to bring an extra hammer to hit someone. What else is there to do? Why do you look so scary at the shop? Kaonan took another sip of water. Whatever, I guess a wrench is the same. Then came the offering ceremony. Kaonan jumped from a civil case straight into a criminal one. The shovel must be for burying bodies. After thinking it through, Kaonan rummaged through his pockets, muttering whether kidnapping people or spirits, it's still kidnapping. It's just that you can't rely on the small strength to charge in. He took out the elixir pill received from the sacrifice, immediately eating it to preserve his life. Looks like I have to wait until nightfall. He smoked, and as soon as it hit his mouth, he felt the cool, refreshing taste with a light mint flavor that was very pleasant. Right after, that cool feeling in his throat instantly vanished like smoke leaving behind bone-deep pain. Not right, this cold is like all my joints are frozen. Makes sense, a root canal treatment obviously hurts for a long time. Kaonan couldn't bear the pain deep in his bones and marrow. Soon he collapsed on the floor like a dead frog. The medicine's powers strongly affected his body, experiencing two extreme weather conditions at once. Kaonong was in excruciating pain, murmuring with the little strength he had left. My joints feel as cold as ice, but my blood is boiling hot, both hot and cold at the same time. The attack never stopped, pushing Chaonong quickly to his limit. He grabbed his neck, eyes bulging, uttering word by word, "This pill is poisonous." The whole room was filled with Chaonong's continuous agonized screams. Right now, a second feels like a whole year to him. Yet he still managed to get through it. When he regained consciousness, Kaonong cursed, "Trying to kill me." Kaonong tilted his head back to check the status board, seeing his current blood value at 64 out of 140 and energy at 28 out of 63. The total blood and energy values kept rising, but both were rapidly declining at the moment. At the same time, he felt his body weakening, his face turning pale. Is this what upgrading feels like? The blood keeps dropping and his eyes slowly closed. If this keeps up, he's definitely going to pass out. But in just a moment, his blood had dropped to only 40 units. Just by looking, you can tell if he waits any longer, he'll be done for. The more he looked, the more he suspected he was losing blood. If it keeps going like this, it seems he'll soon return to the earth. He frantically asked the system to pause, just a little pause, but this damn system pretended not to hear. Not only did it not stop, it even suggested pushing things to the climax. The smile on its face looked so smug. Detected the host's blood value has reached the maximum level of 200. May I ask if you're trying to break the body's limits now? By this point, Chaonong was cursing loudly in his head. Break your head, just let me rest a bit. But his body's severe hypoglycemia made it hard for him to speak coherently. Break that damn system that won't listen? It's just stuffing words down my throat. Kaonong joyfully continued the confirmed process of breaking through. At that time, the blood value was only 9 units left. Kaonong was about to collapse, but it still wouldn't stop. He helplessly clutched his stomach, cursing the damn system, murder, and robbery. He cursed all he wanted, but it kept going as if there was no separation. Kaonong, in his desperation, thought if he couldn't continue like this, he wouldn't survive, he'd die. He had to endure doing one exercise first, but now he couldn't even stand up, so he decided to lie down and just do it. Kaonong mustered all his strength and started exercising, counting as he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 2.2341, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. This method worked well, only twice done blood and energy both surged by 4. When the transformation process finished, Kaonong was exhausted from rarely exercising until reaching his body's limit. Now he couldn't even lift one arm. Now all he wanted was a good sleep, but the system wouldn't allow it. It broke the silence in the room. Host has successfully broken the body's limit for the first time. He felt light and soft, like lying on water. The space was eerily quiet and peaceful. Then when he opened his eyes, he was brought to a strange place. Kaonong curiously wondered where this place was. Then a gentle energy surged into his body, making him feel even more relaxed all over. Kaonong murmured confusedly, "So comfortable it feels really pleasant." He passively received this mild energy, feeling it run once through his veins. He felt himself gradually getting stronger. After some time, Chaonong suddenly woke up, startled, alert, shouting, "Apparently I thought I was reunited with my ancestors," so I yelled out. Then looking around the familiar room, he said, bewildered, "I'm not dead yet." It took a few seconds to calm down. Kaonong noticed some black stains on the floor, and not only on the floor but also on his body was that black substance. Or rather, his body was the source producing that black stuff. Then an indescribable scent shot straight up his nose, almost suffocating Chaonong. He hurriedly ran towards the bathroom. What is this? The shower was turned on at a comfortably warm temperature to quickly wash away the disgusting smell. He turned on both shower heads at once. After thoroughly cleaning himself, he muttered, vaguely, "Feels like I really got stronger." To confirm this feeling, Chaonong looked at his status board. It displayed the name Chaonong blood value 15 out of 201, successfully breaking through the body's first limit, ranked very good in quality. Cultivation speed, blood value increased by 20%. Spirit value, 8 out of 96, successfully breaking through the body's first limit, ranked very good in quality. Cultivation speed spirit value increased by 17%. I've seen with my own eyes that I really have become much stronger, not some kind of scam. Kaonong beamed with joy. The limits of his blood and spirit values nearly doubled. You could say he now had the foundation to become an energy warrior. According to legend, someone who breaks through the body's limit once will have the basis to become an energy warrior who can master basic energy combat techniques. For example, energy extraction techniques. If before becoming an energy warrior, one could break through the body's limit twice like that, they could possess many energy combat techniques. For example, energy synthesis techniques, energy refining techniques, and so on. Cao Nung suddenly remembered Tum Hung Ni's super cool dragon and felt ambition rising again. If he could break through the limit 3 times after calculating, for a while he happily concluded. In other words, if he just got a few more marrow pills, he could become a once-in-a-thousand-years martial genius. So in a shabby bathroom in a poor neighborhood of Daivong land, a legend was about to be born. At that time, in the private bedroom of the vice principal of high school number 3, Dung Duk was wearing only a pair of shorts, holding a glass of wine in one hand and a paintbrush in the other like a professional artist. On the bed lay a beauty face down. He gazed intently at the blossoming rose on her back, then enthusiastically poured his glass of wine, constantly praising the artwork. This is the art of accurately pouring wine onto the stamen of the flower on that beauty's back. Just as he was about to take the next step to complete the work, the phone rang, interrupting the fun. It was Tan Thien Hung calling. Dung Duk relaxed and friendly asked Trung Ji-tun, "Why are you looking for old Dung at midnight?" Unexpectedly, the other side immediately brought bad news. Something big had happened. The beauty lifted her head with interest, listening attentively. Thien Hung recounted everything, then suddenly turned fierce, gritting his teeth and shouting, "What did you say?" Nguyen attacked a lieutenant. "Is the beauty really like a fairy?" "I don't understand." She lightly smiled while playing with her hair, overhearing him curse loudly. "Which lieutenant? Thum Ngung Nhi, isn't she your soldier?" "Tan Thien Hung, are you messing with me on purpose?" In his anger, Dung Duk immediately hung up the phone. He kicked the closest chair angrily, a chair that usually goes unpunished when you're mad. After this unlucky victim, the chair lost its backrest, its glory turned into a headrest. But that alone wasn't enough to vent Dung Duk's fury. He gritted his teeth and muttered, "All right, Tan Thien Hung dares to mess with me." The dark spirit sat up, lit a cigar, took a puff, exhaled a cloud of smoke with an intrigued look, and asked, "What trouble has your precious son caused this time?" Duong Duk was so frustrated he had no outlet, and seeing she wanted to listen, of course he spilled everything. That vixen Tan Thien Hung is hiding the true identity of Tum Nhi Ni. Now he's telling Tum Nhi Ni that he's some kind of major and claims your son attacked her. Damn it, does he think I'm joking? The dark spirit sat cross-legged, looking both seductive and wise, and softly asked, "Major, it seems your human alliance's mission to the Devong land isn't so simple this time, huh? Could it be that you've leaked something?" Duong Duk's emotions flared at that keyword, loudly denying no way. He stroked his beard, pretending to reason thoughtfully, then casually asked, "Dark Spirit, how much do you really know about that intelligence?" If it was truly leaked, it would be a problem on Vuong Ku's side. The Human Alliance's intelligence network isn't simple. Are you sure Vuong Ku's side has no issues? The Dark Spirit didn't think so. One hand crushed the cigar, the other replied with obvious disdain, "Besides impotence, what other problems could there be?" Then she reached out to hug Duong Duk's arm coquettishly, saying, "I still like you. Now let's get back to creating art." He glared at her with disdain as she nagged, "Art comes from intuition. Without intuition, what art is there to create? You should head back to Vuong Ku's factory first. You need to stop by the Kim Sak Hotel." The dark spirit didn't beat around the bush, pulling away before leaving, but not forgetting to show her fondness for men who create art like him. Even her refusal was full of style. She didn't bother changing clothes, just wore a towel combo with a sheer veil covering the door in the morning light, brighter than the party's light. The dark spirit looked back one last time and said, "All right, I'm leaving now, but next time don't refuse people anymore." With that, she left without a trace of regret, leaving only a gentle breeze. Duong Duk stood half-naked, watching the dark spirit's figure disappear. As soon as she vanished, his expression changed instantly, and he picked up the phone to call Thien Hung. He still answered gruffly, asking what else was needed. Duong Duk didn't bother with pleasantries and went straight to the point. "Tan Thien Hung, I know where what you need is, but the condition is you have to find a scapegoat to take the fall for my son. No matter what, you must guarantee his safety." His eyes sharpened and his voice turned steel hard, leaving no room for refusal. "If you can't do it, then forget it." The next morning, Thien Hung and some hotel staff sat down for a meeting. It seemed he had accepted the very tempting offer and was actively looking for a sacrificial lamb. After some time passed, a slight crease formed between his brows. It seemed Thien Hung had found this unlucky victim. His name appeared in the document he was holding. There's no escaping this one. It clearly stated the room was rented by the hour room, 7:07 check-in time, 8:59 p.m., client name, Cao Nang. Seeing Tianheng put down the stack of papers, it was clear Chaoneng was definitely chosen. He glanced around at everyone at the table and asked, "Who checked in room 707?" The receptionist, caught off guard, was visibly nervous when asked. Despite her reluctance, she had to take responsibility. "That was me." Seeing her cooperation, Tianheng's tone softened slightly. "Who is Chaoneng? How old is he?" The receptionist said what she knew. About 17, 18 years old, apparently a student at senior high school number 3. He said he came looking for you, don't you know him? Hearing another detail useful for framing, Tianheng unconsciously smiled. "Looking for me, a student from senior high school number 3. Of course he wouldn't waste this information." He ordered subordinates to contact Li Thenben to inquire about Chaoneng's situation, asked for his address, then sent a few men to bring him here. The soldier bowed clearly as ordered. From this moment, Chaoneng's fate was sealed by Tianheng. He looked back at the agreement documents, thinking this scapegoat, Chaoneng, wasn't a bad choice. Not long after, some soldiers found his home. Every house here is leaking water, calling it an abandoned house wouldn't be an exaggeration. However, the place they arrived at was just a pile of junk. A suspicious soldier asked his comrade, "Is this really Chaoneng's address?" The other guy looked around for a moment and replied, "Yeah, this is the place." At the same time, Chaoneng had finished preparing all his gear to explore the wilderness. He also prepared a message that the madam must come to the friend's house tonight for a review session. He wore a military backpack, bigger than his body, held a wrench in one hand, and gripped a hammer tightly in the other. Reviewing the plan, his mother had to do 5 jobs in one day, and only in the evening could she come home. The window of the hanging system in front displayed the bold headline, "The responsibility of a man is always a reminder." Chaoneng quickly finished and muttered that this task must be completed quickly. Once everything was in place, he turned the doorknob, tucked the edge, and shouted, "Ready to set off!" But just as he opened the door, Teacher Trong stood blocking the entrance. The unexpected visit surprised him, and he exclaimed, "Huh." But normally playful Teacher Trong was strangely serious today. Chaoneng sensed a scheme and suspiciously called out to Teacher Trong. Teacher Trong's gaze now focused suspiciously on the suspicious gear in Chaoneng's hands. Chaoneng understood that this fully armed look made people uneasy, and he could only smile awkwardly, since after all, no one hits a laughing person. Teacher Trong couldn't hide his curiosity and asked confusedly, "Chaoneng, what are you trying to do with all this?" But who was Chaoneng? He always joked, habitually winking at the top student beside him and smiling brightly. "Good morning, Teacher Trong. I'm getting ready to go to school." Teacher Trong took a handkerchief to wipe sweat from his forehead, his face showing a helpless educational sigh. "Going to school with a hammer." Seeing his disbelief, Chaoneng immediately drew a diagram with 30% sadness and 70% grievance, raised the hammer, and explained, "Yes, last time on the way to school I saw a rock that seemed dangerous, so I prepared to smash it." Teacher Trong, not an ordinary man, said, "To succeed, you must fix the road first." Then he switched hands, raised the wrench, squinting to justify, who wouldn't praise a young man of the year? He also knew about the wrench as an amateur repairman of the school. It was normal to casually carry a wrench. "Yeah, your tongue is so slick, no one can catch a mistake," Teacher Trong continued. "And this shovel, are you bringing it to dig and fill the road?" Chaoneng readily admitted exactly. Teacher Trong was really sharp, seeing through his plan at a glance. "This shovel is for digging and filling the road." They hadn't chatted long before the others with them grew impatient. Teacher Trong nervously looked behind, really convinced by this diligent student's appearance. But thinking of what was about to happen, he sighed deeply. "Chaoneng, the road ahead doesn't need fixing anymore. Come with me for a moment." Just as if waiting for this, the subordinates stepped forward and suddenly stormed the house, basically giving him no chance to escape. Teacher Trong knew very well that Chaoneng was being framed this time, but a lowly teacher like him could only accept even help the slanderers. Chaoneng frowned, seeing the unfriendly people around arriving early in the morning, even faster than he expected. Teacher Trong, helpless, before the power ashamed in front of his student, hesitated and said, "Chaoneng, you've been my student since 10th grade. I've been your homeroom teacher all along. I know you very well. I know you wouldn't do bad things." But before he could finish, Chaoneng packed his expedition gear back into his military backpack and reassured, "It's okay, teacher. Let's go." Teacher Trong thought Chaoneng was just trying to stay calm, quickly grabbed his shoulder to comfort him. "It's okay, I'll explain this with you and everything will be fine." With Chaoneng's cooperation, the explanation went very smoothly. Cao Nian was sandwiched between two people on the way, constantly thinking of strategies to get through this ordeal. How should this be resolved? More than 10 minutes later, they arrived smoothly at the Kim Sak Hotel, surprisingly still operating normally after such a commotion. He was escorted all the way, even someone opened the door for him, a treatment worthy of a prisoner. When entering, the Thien Hung group had already prepared a grand banquet for him, and all related figures appeared. Thien Hung sat right at the head, and seeing the main actor arrive, he stood up to start the interrogation. Is it him? Sister Thungan also hurriedly left her seat and awkwardly replied, that's definitely him. But he didn't bother to listen to her, waving his hand to cut her off. That's enough. Thien Hung stepped in front of him and began to perform, somehow making his forehead redden, as if real, and his glabella wrinkle like an angry monkey. He stared at him as if wanting to tear him apart, raising his voice to ask, you are Chao Ning, right? Do you know why we brought you here? He didn't answer immediately because he was busy thinking about the people present at the meeting table. He saw that not only hotel representatives were present, but also senior students from high school number 3. He immediately knew this was a setup. This clearly had been prearranged. The current situation was extremely unfavorable for an ordinary guy like him. Cao Neng closed his eyes, breathed evenly, and pondered. A normal person in this situation would 99% start thinking about alibi evidence or try to keep calm. No matter what was asked, they wouldn't know how to escape suspicion. Then his sharp eyes opened wide, radiating the boundless confidence of a top student in all directions. But am I really a normal person? Cao Neng suddenly took off his backpack at the speed of light and threw it away with a mischievous smile. Thien Hung basically couldn't understand what he was planning to do, but it didn't affect his mood. He wanted to raise his fist proudly. Before his righteousness could take effect, Cao Neng dashed forward and tightly hugged his leg, crying loudly like a child. He shamelessly threw a tantrum. Trung Di Tan stood and killed me. I was wrong. This is the principal's fault. Principal, please don't expel me. I know I did something wrong. Please don't expel me. I won't dare do it again. This move shocked Thien Hung deeply. Is this a confession? The world owes him an ocean prize, but Thien Hung couldn't stand this useless look. He looked at him with disdain and impatience. Can you be a little tougher? Not talking about resisting, but at least pretend to make some excuses. His subordinates thought the same. Everyone swallowed hard and silently judged that this was supposed to be the top student. Why do people always say top student this and that, but they're probably worthless? Students' qualities nowadays really are getting worse and worse. The principal, probably afraid that Chao Ning would damage the school's reputation, hastily slammed both hands on the table and shouted, Cao Neng, as a man, the most important thing is to dare to do and dare to bear to have courage. Quickly tell the whole story of what you did. If there's anything you feel is not right, you can explain. Dung Duk didn't need to be told twice. He felt more satisfied the more useless Chao Neng appeared. He shamelessly pretended to be blind. S.A. Mua's advice was right. Cao Neng, quickly admit your mistakes. Knowing your mistakes and correcting them makes a good student. He wasn't stimulated enough yet, so he came over and patted his shoulder, whispering like Daji, whispering to King Zhou's ear. Tell the stories you did before first. Outsiders see you as more cowardly than a rat, but your head is truly brilliant. Dung Duk only promised one thing, but was immediately caught by Cao Neng's tale telling the story. Wouldn't they also have to team up with that Dung Wingwei? Or did something happen to Dung Wingwei and Tom Ngung Yi killed him? Dung Duk didn't doubt at all and smiled like it was harvest time. He was only missing writing all his intentions on his face. Dung Duk's expression confirmed Cao Neng's suspicion. Once he deciphers the opponent's purpose, he will quickly find a solution. Without purpose, Dung Duk probably came to find the real object. If Dung Wingwei is dead, it wouldn't matter if Dung Duk found the real object. Suddenly, he hugged his face and cried loudly with no script at all. This made Dung Duk freeze. Cao Neng rushed up, hugged Dung Duk's leg tightly, and sobbed with tears and snot all over his pants. He truly said, "You have betrayed the expectations of the principal, the vice principal, and even teacher Trung. You shouldn't speculate in profit like this. You shouldn't have gone to that hotel to look for Trung Di Tan. You shouldn't try to sneak in through the back door like that." Among all the answers he uttered, this was definitely something Dung Duk couldn't figure out, no matter how hard he tried. All the scripts previously discussed were dismissed, leaving him flustered. Wait. Student Cao Neng, you can tell us slowly. You said you wanted to sneak in through the back door with Trung Di Tan. Cao Neng hugged Dung Duk's leg while recounting that fake plan. The more you justify, the darker the other side's face gets. You mean Trung Di Tan didn't let you use the back door? No, it's not true. I still haven't used the back door with Trung Di Tan. In short, I betrayed the principal's and the teacher's expectations. Thien Hung, increasingly reminded of Nguyen Nguyen Tun's surprise love attack, shouted angrily, "Is your brat messing with me? Am I asking you about the back door right now?" He grabbed his collar and shouted, "What I want to ask is, why did you go to Kim Sak Hotel to rent a room by the hour?" Kaunung, on the other hand, looked innocent and clueless like a child. "According to you, I rented the room by the hour because I wanted to use the back door." Thien Hung was so furious he wanted to drown out all logic. He pulled Chao Nung close, almost wanting to bash his head in. In a voice full of lies, "Who the hell did you use the back door with?" Chao Nung, eyes watery, looked straight into his eyes and sighed lightly about that Trung. An innocent, pure white lotus moved without any guilt, blocking the entire scheme. The more he acted, the smoother he got. The more he told, the more detailed it became. "I want to have a good relationship with Trung Di Tan before college. That way I might have the chance to get into the military university. After renting the room at the hotel, I still haven't gotten with Trung Di Tan. That's why Thien Hung had a headache and didn't want to reason anymore." The more he heard, the more his blood boiled. "What exactly did you do?" Kaunung's face turned red from crying to make his words more convincing. He even mixed in some truth. "I just left there and now I have to check out. I don't even have money to rent the room anymore. Besides, my mom is waiting for me to come home for dinner. I didn't know people would investigate even this matter." After speaking, Chao Nung rubbed his face against Dung Duk's pants, crying miserably. "I promise I won't dare use the back door anymore. Please don't cancel my university entrance eligibility." Dung Duk was scared stiff. Unconsciously, he probably regretted choosing him as a scapegoat. Chao Nung stopped crying. "Last night you went to Kim Sak Hotel and spent $40. An alliance can't just be about using the back door wrongly and still have a good relationship with Trung Di Tan, right? Also, can you please stop holding my leg?" The nearby soldiers gawked in shock at the scene, but they also unconsciously believed those excuses were the truth. With that scared look, you want to enter the military university, dream on. A place gathering people with iron will and strong physique can't tolerate cowards like this. The principal of high school number 3 saw this and knew the framing of Kaunung was completely busted. He frowned and sighed, but how would they know this cowardly and contemptible man was mocking everyone in this room? Mocking, of course, mocking is correct. Not only does he want you to mock him, he also wants to deceive those not present at the scene. Most importantly, he wants Tam Ngung Yi, who is observing from another room, to despise him just as he thinks. Tam Ngung Yi is watching through the camera. Everything is going as planned. He hopes that a Thien Min lieutenant colonel is an outstanding genius, such a supreme existence. How could Tam Ngung Yi allow herself to be knocked out by someone else and have that written in her life story, especially by such a cowardly, trembling coward? After watching the performance for a while, Ngung Yi spoke up dissatisfied. "This is the assassin you sent there. So the dignity of a lieutenant like me means nothing, right?" Then Bin hurriedly interrupted to stop Trung's face-smearing act. "Enough, Chao Nung, you get up first. We all know you want to enter the military university, but no more backdoor actions later, understood?" Chao Nung still clung tightly to Dung Duk's leg, obediently responding, "Understood. Thank you, Principal." He then turned to confront Thien Hung, openly siding with Trung Di Tan. "It's very clear now. Honestly, this kid Chao Nung has done very well these past years. I think this is clearly a misunderstanding. Listen to Thien Bin." As soon as Chao Nung let go, Dung Duk quickly left. He shot into the armchair, puffing up his face, leaned back and evaded. "Old Lee, I actually feel like you, that Chao Nung couldn't have committed any crime. Since the military has already come looking, just let Chung Yi handle the investigation for a bit." Then Bin hesitated slightly, but Thien Hung cut him off coolly, even advising the principal. "Mr. Lee is a teacher. Of course you have hopes for your students. I understand that, but trying to deceive and avoid investigation in front of me, Tan Thien Hung, is not that easy." He really had enough of Chao Nung's whining turned around, grabbing his collar, baring his teeth like a wild dog growling. "Kid, have you ever heard how the military conducts investigations?" But before he could make a move, Chao Nung collapsed to the ground, clutching his stomach, with a pained expression, groaning loudly. He was so professional that he coughed up blood at the corner of his mouth, blood left over from a rat bite. It was the first time in his life that Thien Hung encountered such a professional actor playing the victim, and he was momentarily stunned. But immediately after, Thien Hung fiercely shouted, "You little brat, Are you faking death in front of me? I haven't even laid a hand on you yet. However, his fierce, murderous expression had the opposite effect. At least Thanbin truly believed Thien Hung had acted, stepping forward to question, "Are you seriously abusing my student in front of me?" Thien Hung lost his momentum, stammering to explain, this kid, he's just pretending." But looking at Cao Nung's pitiful state, who would believe it? Thanbin stood in front of him and shouted, "Won't you stop? Still want to use violence on an innocent student? You're from the military after all. Everything you do must have evidence." Teacher Trung quickly helped him up to reassure, "It's okay if there's no evidence, we won't accept it." Thien Hung's behavior was too rough. Now that reason was no longer on his side. He could only grit his teeth and hold on. This brat came to the Kim Sak Hotel in the middle of the night to rent a room clearly with suspicious intent." Thanbin sneered at the flimsy excuse and kept questioning, "Then how can a room be considered evidence? Isn't this just too unreasonable? Besides, how does Cao Nung know who was in the next room?" At this moment, the cashier dared to raise her hand and speak. "Cao Nung didn't know. I told him that the person next door was Trung Di Tan." Thien Hung narrowed his eyes at her. In an instant, the cashier was stunned by that bullet-like glare, but couldn't betray her conscience. Siding with the crowd, she mustered all her courage and shouted, "The truth is the truth. I can testify for Cao Nung. There is a real witness." Thanbin grew even more impatient and raised his voice solemnly. "Trung Di Tan, did you hear that? Do you still have any evidence? If not, on behalf of all the leaders of the 3rd Senior High School, I request you release him immediately." At this point, what other evidence could he have? He just stood there like a statue, narrowly escaping danger. Cao Nung relaxed briefly and forced a smile. "Sorry, Trung Di Tan, based on your methods, it's very likely you discovered that I use pulp pills to break my body's limits. I can only rely on my acting skills to escape." It seemed the matter was closed, but unexpectedly, a soldier rushed in, the captain bringing bad news for Cao Nung. The soldier stood at attention in military style and reported, "Dung Wingwei and that Atu have regained consciousness." No one expected things to get so intense. Everyone looked toward the door. The soldier, seemingly unaware of the reactions inside, continued reporting. "Moreover, Captain, both of them said that before they entered the room, Cao Nung was already inside." Seeing his side gaining the advantage, Thien Hung looked triumphant, sneering at Cao Nung. "That flips the game," he demanded on the spot. "Dung Wingwei and Atu have woken up. They might be needed." Principal Lee, the principal, and teachers Trung avoided eye contact slightly, since he had colluded with Dung Duk before he naturally agreed happily. "Of course, if something happens to Dung Moe Lee and Trung would lose face. Let's go. We have to trust the military, trust Trung Di Tan, right?" Since Dung Duk already involved the military, Thanbin couldn't object further, but he also warned Trung. "Trung Di Tan is a soldier. I trust the military, but until this matter is clarified, I absolutely forbid you from abusing my students." Thien Hung was surprisingly obedient and promised, "I understand. I won't lay a hand on Cao Nung anymore." To make the following interrogations more credible, and he personally sent his subordinates out. "You all step back, leave a few people." The door brought Dung Wingwei and Atu in. No one inside objected. They quietly left the room. Seconds later, the crowded room became quiet. The atmosphere was tense and dangerous. Seeing the goddess of victory beckoning over Duong Duke, relaxed his mind and sat back in the chair, politely telling student Cao Nung, "Let's wait a moment." Seeing the entire chessboard suddenly become chaotic, Cao Nung couldn't help but feel tense. The tantrum has already been thrown. The blood has already been spilled. It was so hard to get away with it. Duong Wingwei has woken up again. Things can't turn out like this. You have to think about countermeasures in seconds. He's getting harder and harder to stay calm. What now? Could it be that he's dead now? He's no different from a fish on a chopping board. 1 second of waiting feels like a whole year. Soon the door creaked open. Seeing the two people entering, he couldn't help but sneer. Both Nui Nui and A2 were helped inside and wrapped up like mummies, especially A2, who was wrapped everywhere except for his eyes. As soon as Nui Nui entered the room, she pointed at Cao Nung, loudly accusing Trung Di Tan of being the culprit. "It was Cao Nung. When we went in, Lieutenant Tam had been made unconscious by him. We only did it to save Lieutenant Tam." Atu nodded repeatedly instead of speaking. Thien Hung, with Nui Nui's testimony, immediately aimed the accusation at Cao Nung, completely different from when the receptionist stood up as a witness. Student Taonang, do you have any explanation for these statements? But he remained silent. The naive beauty Bakngat awkwardly scratched her head and said, Huh? Who's Lieutenant Tam? I haven't even entered Tam Gungyi's room. How could I know anything about Lieutenant Tam? But if that's all, it's not enough to convict you. He could only have used a strange sedative. It seems Kaonang really doesn't know. Nguyen continued to give truthful testimony, and A2 still only nodded. Last night he really did enter Lieutenant Tam's room. He was on Lieutenant Tam's bed at that time. We were fighting then. He even kicked me hard, right? A2 Tien Hung didn't eat that. Suddenly, the anti-war faction said that these two were framing him. What he slammed the table beam and shouted loudly. Tien Hung exploded, stepped forward, grabbed his collar and grit his teeth, demanding, You all drugged Lieutenant Tam's room. If Cao Nang was in the room, he would definitely have been unconscious. If so, how could Cao Nang fight back against you two while unconscious? Then he turned to ask him angrily, Cao Nang, is that true? Cao Nang followed the principle of, I don't understand, I don't know, I'm not clear. He instinctively waved his hand saying, I don't understand what sedative you're talking about. But this was a very wrong move. Tien Hung was just waiting for that grinning wickedly, looks like you really don't know. He let go of Nguyen, holding tightly onto the mistake he just made that would surely kill him. But you were right next to Lieutenant Tam's room. So how could you say you didn't know with such loud noises? Cao Nang, you're lying. Thuan Di hurriedly approached, pressing him without giving him a chance to defend himself. Cao Nang, do you think you're smart enough to deny all of this? You're wrong. Everything you say has loopholes. The situation was extremely critical. Yet the system still wanted to add more chaos. Detected host heartbeat at 30 will unlock a mission to suppress the host. In life, nothing is impossible, only impossible to accomplish. You're still young, you can't keep being reckless. Facing challenges is what you're here for. It's afraid you won't die fast enough or properly. Randomly and absurdly, the system added another mission. The mission requires that within 1 minute you must shout loudly, I am the culprit who did that to Tam Ngongyi. Only then will the mission be considered complete. Penalty for not completing the mission, drop 1 level. Countdown starts at 59 seconds. Once a mission starts, it never stops. At 58 seconds, Cao Nang was already overwhelmed and furious, swearing, yelling, my ass. Outside, Tien Hung was determined not to let Cao Nang escape blame, constantly pressuring, if you don't act quickly, there will be no way out. The system inside not only failed to help, but poured oil on the fire. The countdown clock shows 45 seconds left before the execution. At this moment, he had no choice but to break his own mask. Sharp retort, it's true I lied, but isn't Lieutenant Tan lying too? Without waiting for his reaction, he immediately pointed towards the two of them. Nguyen boldly questioned if he wanted to help them escape punishment, right? His sudden raid left Tien Hung momentarily speechless. After exposing the opposing side's conspiracy, Cao Nang then began to turn the tables on Tien Hung. If not, why would you keep staring at me like that? It's just because I rented a room at the hotel. Why do you only have 39 seconds left now? He pretended to be agitated. You must have already discussed this with Principal Duong. You want me to be the scapegoat, right? Renting a hotel room. Ngung Yi in the monitoring room obviously could see too. Suddenly flipping the situation, his expression turned serious and thoughtful. Cao Nang's performance exploded as he fiercely accused Tien Hung. Actually, you colluded with Principal Duong. You just want me to be the scapegoat for them. He twitched nervously, unconsciously, raising his fist to yell at the brat for talking nonsense. Watching him gradually act according to his wishes, Cao Nang suddenly sat down and shouted loudly, Don't come over here. Do you want to kill and silence me? Tien Hung was blinded by fury, losing reason. His face was fierce, wanting to justify the silencing. I am a gentleman. Of course I won't let Tien Hung speak it all out. He immediately shouted for help. Murder, murder, to silence me. Help me. At this point, he had only 25 seconds left to complete the mission. He was clearly allergic to weak actions and yelling. Finally, unable to hold back, he reached out to grab his collar threateningly. If you don't shut up, Than Bin and Teacher Trong will hear Cao Nang's cries and break in. He hurried over to Cao Nang, showing concern. Cao Nang, are you okay? Than Bin had just arrived and saw Cao Nang being threatened by Tien Hung grabbing his collar. It looked exactly like a school violence incident. He immediately got angry, his face furious, rushing forward to protect the student. Tan Tien Hung, you are a lieutenant, yet you broke your promise. You cruelly attacked the student. When Teacher Trong passed by to check, he saw the stunned, nervous look. He couldn't help but feel saddened and carefully inquired, Cao Nang, are you okay? Are you all right? Cao Nong skillfully pretended to be terrified, pushing his hand away, then raised a hand to protect his head, making Teacher Trong feel even more sympathetic. Cao Nong then hugged himself tightly, breathing heavily like a fish out of water. Who wouldn't think he had just gone through something? Seeing Cao Nong act so overly cautious, the teachers treated him even more carefully. Then Bin even proactively assured Cao Nong that he didn't need to be afraid. With the principal and Teacher Trong here, no one will harm you. They had no idea all those behaviors were deliberate setups. All were paving the way for the mission assigned by the system. If you're going to do it thoroughly and make it count. But time was running out, and there was no other way. At this point, he had exactly 5 seconds left on the countdown. But once he decided to go all out, he began to adjust his facial expression. The shop was really looking forward to the next performance. Then Cao Nong slightly raised his middle finger coldly, sticking out his tongue teasingly, saying, "You guys want to frame me, don't you? Anyway, my life has been bad enough. Don't you want me to admit it? Fine, I admit it. You're not mistaken." Our male lead here has turned from a composed teenager into a complete lunatic. He theatrically confessed, "I'm the culprit who did that to Tam Dong-ni. What can you guys do to me? What can you do?" Who would have guessed this scene would cause everyone to freeze? Even the one determined to frame Cao Nang was stuck stunned stiff. He wasn't exactly sure if asking that meant admitting guilt. In response, he was met with ridicule and a defiant attitude. "It's okay, I did it." No sooner had he finished speaking than a hand lunged out. Teacher Trong, afraid Cao Nang would say more disrespectful words, hurriedly covered his mouth. He temporarily silenced Cao Nang, then turned to face Thien Hung. His face was furious, every word sharp. "He's crazy. He's really gone mad. Cao Nang's gone crazy. Your army is forcing a child to go insane like this." Hyungwee Nui's teammate seemed unable to read the situation. He gently touched the man's back, urging him to hurry. He admitted it, so capture him quickly and release the two of us. He obediently let the homeroom teacher take control. Suddenly, a familiar announcement sounded. "Congratulations, host, you have completed the mission." It just announced it and arbitrarily activated the reward. He saw a giant lucky wheel appear in his mind. The system joyfully shouted, starting the prize spin. The pointer spun dizzyingly, then stopped right on the eye of seizure slot. Cao Nong thought the reward sounded pretty impressive. His eyes filled with anticipation. The system was a trap. How long would it let him hope? Then it doused him with a bucket of cold water. "Congratulations, host, you have received the Eye of Seizure trial version valid for 5 days. Then it displayed the introduction of the Eye of Seizure. It can seize one of the 4 great evil disguises, Disguise Wood and All Camouflage. Once the Disguise Wood and All Camouflage are deployed, you can see through the true essence of their power." Hearing this, he was bitterly frustrated. What's the point if it's useless? It's a trial version and he risked everything just to get a 5-day trial. So how does this trial become official? The system seemed to hear Cao Nong's inner thoughts. Without mercy, it sarcastically demanded more money. Use your brain. How can you get the official version without paying more? Cao Nong was driven crazy by its shamelessness. He accidentally cursed the damn system. Teacher Trong saw him suddenly lose it and quickly pinned him down to calm him. "Cao Nong, don't say anything else, just stop." "I'm sorry." Even Ngung Yi in the monitoring room, who believed him wholeheartedly, began to worry. "Are you crazy?" Then she called her subordinate, Lieutenant Detran, the soldier. "Order received, reporting clearly." Ngung Yi kept her eyes on the monitoring screen and ordered an announcement to Dr. Vuong. Cao Nong, annoyed by the system, was too withdrawn to care about the argument between Than Bin and Thien Hung. He spoke sharply, demanding Lieutenant Tan. "As the principal, I have the responsibility for the student's safety. Now I want to take Cao Nang to the hospital." Thien Hung, without reasoning, firmly interrupted. "Principal Lai, what you're doing is obstructing the military's law enforcement. I didn't lay a hand on Cao Nang. You can check the cameras." And Bin, hearing such an illogical excuse, angrily questioned, "Does that mean if I leave and come back, I'll never see my student again?" Thien Hung's credibility was zero. The only option was to drag the authorities in to threaten. Principal Lai had to trust the military. Then Bin Thoold was stubborn and escalated the tension. "I trusted the military too much. That's why I let you push Cao Nong until he went insane." Thien Hung was struck dumb. Just as both sides were reaching a deadlock, Lieutenant Daitran spoke up, cutting through the tension. Captain Thien Hung looked at the man with him, puzzled. "Lieutenant Ditran, is Dr. Vuong with you too?" The two Lieutenant Daitran's face cold as ice responded formally. "This is an order from Major Tam." Then he glanced at the newly arrived doctor and said calmly, "Dr. Vuong, please check Cao Nong's condition now." Dr. Vuong leisurely stepped into the room, smiling calmly. "All right, let's do a quick check. This situation has already gotten out of control." Cao Nong felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Vuong noticed a few patients in the room, looking like mummified corpses, and casually said, "There are 2 more of you as well. So let's check a bit." The comedy duo didn't expect their own matter to be so astonishing that we exclaimed, "Why do we also have to be checked?" Lieutenant Tranhan raised his voice to explain on behalf of the doctor. "It seems this is also someone who knows what's going on. It's like this, the front of both of your heads are injured. Under the condition of a head injury, hallucinations may appear. Therefore, we have to make sure that what you two say is the truth. We hope you cooperate with a neurological examination." You started to panic, hastily refusing while continuously trying to lay blame. "We won't be checked. Our nerves are perfectly fine. This is Cao Nang's doing. He has already confessed." Atu, with his mouth taped shut, could only mumble a few incomprehensible sounds. "That guy is disrespectful and dares to defy orders." Lieutenant Tran's face instantly darkened as he coldly warned, "This is an order from Major Tam. Do you want to oppose the military's decision? He has dragged the entire military into this. Who would dare argue now? Anyway, Duong Duk definitely doesn't object. If it's the military's decision, of course you have to cooperate. Please, doctor, proceed with the examination." Dr. Vuong adjusted his glasses skillfully. His chubby face broke into a broad smile, assuring everyone to relax. Dr. Vuong said, "After being trained in neuroscience, I have encountered many patients with neurological diseases. I have never misdiagnosed anyone." Then Bin first glanced at Cao Nang's dazed face, then asked the doctor anxiously what this examination involves. Dr. Vuong spoke lightly and confidently. "It's very simple. I ask one question. If they can answer it, it proves they have no neurological problems. If they can't answer, then their nerves definitely have issues." The simplicity of the test made Than Bin suspicious. "Is it really that simple?" Dr. Vuong sensed the principal's distrust and frowned, asking, "Principal Lai, how could you doubt my professional competence?" Then Bin saw he was too agitated and forced a smile. "Then Min, Dr. Vuong misunderstood. I didn't mean it that way." Once Dr. Vuong got heated, he pursued it to the end. He was full of passion to prove himself. "There is no misunderstanding or lack of understanding here. This is my professionalism. Although most of the time I am the chief surgeon in the surgical department, I have a brother who has over 45 years of experience in a neurological hospital." Then suddenly a clang. Than Bin looked towards the source of the noise and saw a meat cleaver and a large saw. Dr. Vuong, unfazed, calmly put those very suspicious tools into his lab coat pocket. "Like I said earlier, I often lead surgeries in the military hospital's surgical department, so I always carry surgical instruments with me." This was a display of professionalism, but his actions didn't quite match his words. Someone who didn't know might think he was a butcher. It was basically not convincing. Dr. Vuong seemed to notice the skeptical looks around him. Firmly, he changed the subject without saying more. "Quickly line up for me. I'll start examining you all." Cao Nang stood in front of him, basically frozen. Cao Nang was in a dilemma, his mind racing back and forth. If the check really finds a neurological problem, I might get locked up in a mental hospital. The mission time is very urgent. What skill do I have anyway? But if the test doesn't find any neurological issues, then my earlier accusations will be considered true. After a moment of very little time to think, Cao Nang couldn't help but consider the most extreme options. "I wonder if I can trick them by pretending to be insane." Dr. Vuong stood behind the glass holding his surgical tools professionally. He laughed like a mad scientist and said, "Now I will ask you a question. The 3 of you can answer together. Understand?" Seeing the room go completely silent, he began asking, "Now imagine a little bit. You guys are being chased by an assassin. The 3 of you run into a bathroom. Inside, there's a bathtub filled with water. There will be a secret door there. Only by opening the door underneath can you find a way to survive. But you can only step in after the water in the tub is completely drained. Next to the tub is a basin and a spoon. You have to make the right choice. Now please answer. The first contestant to answer the question is Nui Nui." The guy eagerly grabs the basin and shouts, "Me first. I choose the basin." Dr. Vuong sneers, holding a butcher's knife. Luckily, Ngui avoided it in time. "You definitely have a mental disorder." Not accepting Dr. Vuong's diagnosis, he burst into tears, telling his parent, "My grandfather is not mentally ill. He's a quack. Who sent him here? Dad wants to save his son. Please tell them I'm not mentally ill." Dr. Vuong, rational and reasonable, says, "Mentally ill people never admit they're ill. You're confessing before the fight even starts." A2 sees the basin chosen, so the remaining choice must be the right one. He quickly raises his hand to answer, "Then I choose the spoon." But no sooner had he spoken than a saw was pressed against his neck. A2's head was full of question marks. Dr. Wang pleased laughed heartily and declared, "You're mentally ill too." Everyone else in the room found this scene quite miraculous. For the first time, their souls were in sync. They wondered why things turned out this way. By now, 2 contestants had already lost. Dr. Wang grabbed the weapon, no the medical tool, and went to Chaonong demanding an answer. Only the student Chaonong remained. Would he choose the basin or the spoon? A real top student like Chaonong showed no sign of panic. Calmly, he said, "I choose neither." Dr. Wang had met people who answered like that before. Familiar with the routine, he added a condition. So what do you plan to do?" "I'll tell you. Breaking this water tank is impossible. Moving it is also impossible." Thanbin, too worried and confused, couldn't help but criticize, "Enough already. Dr. Wang, this question of yours actually has no answer." He never expected that the next moment Chaonong would reply, "I choose to pull the bathtub's drain plug." Dr. Wang didn't immediately treat him. Smiling, he approached Chaonong and asked again, "Are you sure about pulling the drain plug?" He firmly answered, "I'm sure." The whole room anxiously awaited the diagnosis result. The tensest were the 2 comedians who had been diagnosed as mentally ill. Dr. Wang put away his weapon and for the first time patted the patient on the shoulder with bare hands. Then he gave a thumbs up and sincerely congratulated him. "All right, your mental state is completely normal. In such an urgent situation, a mentally ill patient would choose to scoop the water out of the tub. Only a normal person would pull the drain plug. You have no mental issues." After finishing, Dr. Wang turned to the others in the room. "Anyone have objections?" Theodetron applauded. "None." Dr. Wang is truly very professional. Thanbin was even more satisfied and agreed, "Exactly. Dr. Wang is really very professional." Only the patients diagnosed as ill had objections to the verdict. Nguyen loudly complained, "You're not fair. You're a quack. You never said it was possible to pull the drain plug. I'm not mentally ill. You're the one who's crazy." When his specialty was challenged, Dr. Wang became extremely strict. He pressed the knife to the patient's neck, threatening the mentally ill patient. Not only did he refuse to admit his own mental illness, but he also said others were mentally ill. "That's a worrying state, and you still won't admit it. Give me that." Nguyen, scared and desperate, cried out like begging his father to save him. Even this time, his father, who always spoiled him like a ghost, didn't stand on his side. He even slapped him once. Duong Duke was also afraid of Dr. Wang, no joke. The man grabbed Nguyen's collar, pulled him back, and shouted loudly in his face, "You're the one who's mentally ill. Understand, you're mentally ill." Nguyen held his face full of resentment, tears barely holding back, weakly protesting, and then confused, "I'm not mentally ill. No. I'm not mentally ill. I'm mentally ill. You're not crazy. Wait, you are crazy here." Maybe it's the option Duong Duke least wanted to use, but at this point he could only accept it. He turned to ask Thien Hung Trung Di Trun, "My son was diagnosed with a mental illness. I don't know what to do next." Thien Hung couldn't help either. Closing his eyes, he answered confidently, "First take him to the Military Medical Institute for treatment. Once his condition improves, the military will continue the trial." The son was taken away by the military police. Duong Duc reluctantly wanted to bring support. If that's the case, how will Chaoneng handle it now that he's been cleared of mental issues? So his earlier confession was, however, his nature prevented him from acting without Daitron speaking up. Major Tem has orders that as long as Cao Nung passes the mental test, he can go home. Before releasing him, Lieutenant Daitron stopped him and instructed, Cao Nung still has some unresolved issues that need your cooperation in investigating. Take this phone. Stay in contact 24/7. Got it. Cao Nung gladly took it. All right. Suddenly receiving a gift is still a gift. Cao Nung raised his guard. Tamai Tumgang Yi suddenly giving him a phone definitely meant something. But the situation didn't allow him to refuse. He had to take it step by step. No matter what he was about to get, termed of 100,000 plus a primary Yang treasure. He just had to quickly increase his power to truly protect himself. Meanwhile, in the surveillance room, Ngung Yi was attentively taking notes. Turns out, she was comparing herself to him. In the evaluation, Cao Nung scored 100 and looks rated perfect. Then the acting ability was much lower at only 59 points, labeled Huiyan Huang. Right below was an X with just 60 points passing. Lastly, the combat power was the lowest at only 2 points. Meanwhile, Tamnangang Ni rated herself 100 and looks perfect and flawless. Acting ability reached 99 points, ranked excellent. Combined with an X of 99 points, she self-rated as outstanding. And combat power was top-notch at 99 points with the comment unrivaled narcissist. After going back and forth on the evaluation, Ngung Yi felt even more confused. I completely outrank him in the numbers. So why did I get knocked out? Could it be a dream? It must be a dream. She looked at her flawless, perfect self in the mirror, still not fully convinced. Is it a dream or not? Just probe him a little and you'll know. Ngung Yi is truly a late-stage narcissist. She held the walkie-talkie and murmured a signal. Tonight, Chao Nang will open your eyes a bit. What real acting is, what real selfishness is. The signal from that device was picked up by the phone in Cao Nang's pants pocket. No direct transmission was intercepted by that AI. Missing him, he sneezed once. Cao Nang wiped his nose silently, not very sure why he suddenly sneezed. Is someone talking bad about me? Good instincts. Then Bin's older brother saw him sneeze and proactively came over with concern. Cao Nang, are you sick? Or maybe you should go home and rest today. The university entrance exam is coming up. You can't afford to get sick. He had always looked at him no differently than a weak kid who suffered a lot mentally. Always worried about this or that. Your home isn't far from school. We'll conveniently have the teacher send you back. Cao Nang turned and smiled to say goodbye. Thank you, Principal. I can go home by myself. He didn't insist. All right then, be careful. After Cao Nang disappeared, he sighed and evaluated this kid. Although he had good academic results, his combat ability was too poor. It would be difficult for him to pass even the lowest rank of military university. But they didn't expect the good student to head straight to the nightlife district right after leaving school. When Cao Nang walked past the bar, two hostesses clung to him, inviting, "Come have fun, mister." He was too used to this. Used to the routine or the response. Is there any guy with six-pack abs, under 5% body fat, and weighing 100 kilos? The ladies were so stunned they froze. Their cold aura and irritable attitude only made the two retreat. He grimaced and muttered, "If there's nothing, then don't block this tycoon's path to fun." He approached the taxi parked by the roadside and read the driver the address, to the Northern Psychiatric Hospital. The driver warned ahead, "Kid, that's 25 Alliance dollars to get there." Cao Nang bargained it down to 15. The driver snapped back, "You go by yourself then." He raised it to 16, but the driver stayed silent, so he upped it to 17, pretending to lose patience and said, "I can't pay more." The driver nodded, seemingly satisfied, and accepted the fare. "All right, kid, you sure know how to bargain." On the way, the driver noticed his backpack, twice his size, and curiously asked, "It's so late and you're carrying such a big bag. Are you going to see a doctor?" Cao Nang answered briefly, "No. I'm just traveling." I noticed he was at a teenage age. The driver couldn't help but show concern. "Traveling, from what I know, the northern area is a wasteland outside the hospital. You want to go out there? It's just an abandoned land." "Kid, where exactly are you traveling to?" Cao Nang, just putting on his mask, replied, "Traveling." The driver's face went pale. He quickly turned his head forward, just as the radio on the car broadcasted a warning. "We now bring you breaking news. Recently, strange occurrences have been reported near the Northern Psychiatric Hospital. So far, 2 people have gone missing nearby. Please move cautiously and stay safe to avoid any unfortunate incidents." As the announcement ended, the car arrived at the destination. The driver braked sharply in fear. Terrified, he timidly turned to the back seat and tried to negotiate a discount. "We're here. I think you're a man of character, definitely a prodigy. Today we strike a deal. I'll only charge you 15 Alliance dollars. Cao Nang, as innocent as a fairy, took out the money and accidentally dropped a hammer. He gratefully said, "You're really kind." Seeing the weapon, the work tool fall out. The driver was even more terrified, his face drained of color. Still unaware of how frightening his current look was, Cao Nang calmly explained, "This is just for road repairs. I saw a rock at the hospital gate. It might trip people, so I brought a hammer to flatten it." But just as he tried to defend the hammer, a wrench dropped right on cue, as if to say he was lying. The scared driver quickly jumped in to help with an excuse, "This is for road repairs too." Cao Nang bent down to pick up the wrench and said, "Yeah. In case the hammer doesn't work, I brought a wrench to use." The driver barely held back a scream. His legs shook like a threshing machine. Summoning all his courage, he suggested to his companion in the car, "It's a bit awkward. Maybe you can get out first and pay later." Cao Nang found that reasonable and said, "Yeah, you're right. I'll get out first then." He slowly stepped down with one foot. When Cao Nang got out, holding his backpack, and stood fully by the roadside, the car door suddenly slammed shut and sped away on the highway. Cao Nang watched the taxi go and called loudly, "Hey driver, your fare." Watching the driver flee as if chased by a ghost, Kaunang couldn't understand the terror he felt and sighed, "What's going on? Could that driver actually be a good person? Right, he did say today we'd form a bond. That driver really is an honest man." While he watched the taxi speed away, someone else was also watching him. It was Ngung Yi on a tech motorcycle. She glanced over the destination he wanted to reach. "The school is planning the psychiatric hospital. If that's the case, I'll show him what textbook-level psychosis looks like." Meanwhile, at the magnificent Nguyen Hua mansion, the Tang family home, Dung Duk shouted angrily, "Trung Di, explain today's matter to me." Sitting comfortably on a soft armchair with an annoyed and grumpy expression, he said, "If your ability is limited, can I find another partner to represent me, huh?" On the other end, Thien Hung saw no problem at all, calmly telling him, "Tell Tum Ngung Yi that this matter must not be exposed. Not everyone in the alliance agrees to cooperate." He only revealed that, "I probed her once to see if she wanted to cooperate with you. Whether you believe it or not, Tam Ngung Yi really has no intention of cooperating with your three great powers." Upon hearing this, Dung Duk's face visibly turned cold. "Dung, little brother, don't try to scare me. According to you, could it be that this time the alliance isn't here to regulate, but to purge?" Thien Hung Paws made a request and indirectly confirmed that suspicion. "So please hurry and bring it to me. Earning merit is the best choice. Someone like Thien Hung's previous level of trust is nothing compared to now. He questioned me on how I could believe you," he said coldly and hung up the phone. "Believe it or not, that's up to you. I've said enough." Just as Dung Duk wanted to negotiate further, the other end lost connection. Hey, he angrily threw the phone down, mumbling like a scared rabbit. "Is this a begging attitude? Beg me a little, and you'll die. Beg me a bit more, and I'll give it to you." Right after Dung Duk calmed himself and thought, "Be patient a little longer. Tun Tin Hung will definitely come begging again." He clearly knew that the weight of the information he held was also the source of his absolute confidence now. After all, the intelligence in his hands also came from Doi, a mysterious figure somewhere in the land of exile. Cao Cao asked Dung Duk if he had not yet revealed the intelligence about the dark spirit Doi fully committed to the demon before. The other reported seriously that it seemed they still hadn't negotiated good terms with the alliance. "If he had handed it over to the alliance, I wouldn't have any value to exploit. He wouldn't let me go there anymore." The mysterious figure gave an order, then put more pressure on him. As long as he lets alliance people into the factory, he will have no second choice. The dark spirit cautiously asked a subordinate after hearing Dung Duk say the alliance would send another lieutenant. "This time, should we prepare a bit more explosives in the factory?" The mysterious figure replied shortly, "Yes, go arrange it." Back to our main map, an old psychiatric hospital in the quiet late night. Ngung Yi excitedly smeared makeup on her proud face, her outfit changed into patient clothes to fit the scene. Yes, she even tousled her usually well-groomed hair to play the role more smoothly. While preparing, she couldn't stop smiling. No matter how you look at it, she was a crazy person who could scare someone into peeing their pants at midnight. When her makeup was ready, Ngung Yi took out the walkie-talkie with tracking function to check why Chaoneng had not arrived yet. While anxiously waiting, she heard footsteps put the walkie-talkie away and prepared to scare her moment was coming. Chaoneng was standing in front of a door, his hand already gripping the knob, ready to enter any time. Inside the room, Ngung Yi was ready behind the door, waiting to jump out at any moment. As soon as she saw the door open, she jumped out to scare without checking if it was really Chaoneng. That was a wrong decision because the person entering was a tall, muscular patient with scars and an eye patch looking like a bandit. Instead of scaring him, she got scared herself and screamed loudly. Whether because of her super strong ability or not, her scream was extremely powerful, scaring away birds for miles around. Chaoneng hadn't even opened the door yet when he heard that mournful scream. He sighed at the place he was standing, thinking it's night and still no peace here. Crazy people are really hard to deal with. The patient who looked like a bandit was knocked out cold by her in one hit, unbelievably unlucky to have this experience. Ngung Yi took out the tracking device, muttering softly, surprised a crazy person actually showed up. She checked and saw they were several miles apart. She couldn't help but wonder, what is Chaoneng doing at the toy factory? At the same time, inside the toy factory warehouse, he glanced around, clicked his tongue, and commented on how long the place had been abandoned, now so dilapidated. Then he noticed dried bloodstains, scattered knives, and talismans on the floor, all signs of a fierce battle. Still, he ignored all that to focus on the main task. What does it matter tonight? He has to use a hammer to kill them all. Leaving suspicious things behind, he leisurely went deeper inside. Cao Nang was walking to continue his journey when a gust of wind blew by, followed by a sudden creature leaping toward him. Fortunately, after his body was modified, his senses and reflexes improved significantly. He quickly raised his hammer before realizing it was just a little black cat. Cao Nang then relaxed a bit, realizing it was a stray cat. He took off his mask to conceal his identity, unaware that he had been watched for a long time. From now on, he had to keep his face hidden. Even if the cat scratched him, that wouldn't be good. In the monitoring room, watching Cao Nang on screen, everyone's expressions were fully recorded. The big guy in the monitoring room looked at the screen and sighed. That kid really doesn't fear death. A few days ago, one guy died, and now it's this skinny dude's turn. He laughed and said, "There's nothing to do. These poor dogs just want to come here to scavenge whatever useful leftovers remain." Manga called to the team downstairs. "Is the actor group there? If you're not dead, get up and work." On the other end, Dam hesitantly asked, "Is there another task? Male or female?" He frowned in warning and promised, "Guys, don't get any ideas. This isn't playtime. He's about to reach the factory gate now. You all just need to scare him off so he runs away. Today's payday. Tonight I'll take you all out for a drink." On the other end, hearing about the bait, they perked up and asked Brother Huangya, "Where are you taking us today?" Huangya was vague, mentioning a new place but not telling them more. "You all work first. When you're done, let me know. I and Fatty will take a quick nap. Tonight I'm going to party hard." On the other end, Cal was much more enthusiastic, assuring them, "Don't worry, this isn't the first time. You all know the drill." After that, both sides hung up. Huangya casually tossed the radio on the table and arrogantly said, "Don't be impressed, they're just background actors." But they still seemed very professional. The acting group's representative was already in makeup, just waiting for the signal to start. He received orders from above and relayed them to his close colleagues. "Let's get to work, brothers." The acting group's representative faced the crew and encouraged them, though his wording was a bit off. "What is our dream? To be actors. Even though we've killed a few people now, that doesn't matter." He was fooling himself and dragging along the whole crazy crew, but deep down, our hearts are still good. We have a dream. Even though we're just extras now, we still have to fulfill the duties of actors. Do you understand? The whole group shouted back, "Yes, we understand." He waited for that and joyfully yelled, "Oh, very good. What is our goal?" The actors waved their hands and loudly shouted the slogan, almost scaring him out of his pants. He was so scared he nearly wet himself. Since the acting group restarted, the effects team kicked into gear too. First came simulated gusts of wind blowing by. Konong heard it several times, starting to doubt his own hearing. Is there really a ghost? Why am I hearing wind? Next came the thunder effects typical in horror movies. The sounds were incredibly vivid. Then the ghost actor appeared. But these guys did a terrible job with the effects. The ropes were completely exposed, looking very fake. Cow even wore a ghost mask with a long tongue, making him look stranger. But looking at it, it was just meh, not scary at all. Still, Cao Nang was caught off guard and startled. His eyes behind the mask widened in surprise. But Cao Nang's reaction then was even more astonishing. He ran straight at the ghost, swinging his hammer, looking scarier than the ghost by 1,000,000 times. The ghost actor didn't sense the danger and kept performing only to get a hammer to the head. Consider it karma. With one swing, he smashed the mask, revealing the real face of the acting group's representative. He lay unconscious. Cao Nang felt even angrier, hitting a human. His eyes turned into inverted triangles, fiercely resentful. Who told you to pretend to be a ghost and scare me like that? Not stopping there, he also harshly criticized without missing a beat. All this in front of eyes that pretend to be ghosts and demons, indifferent to life or death. Ugly already and still threatening people. Truly unforgivable. And Cao Nang reveals the mask of the actor representative. 6 system units detected a spirit signal and took the chance to interview. Congratulations to Qi Chu for defeating a demon, but the target offers no rewards. May I ask how you feel Cao Nang still holds a grudge against the system for the failed skill test? Waving his hand to brush it off, grumbling, "What the heck, damn it? If he had to rely on your broken system to eat, that guy would have starved long ago." After checking the actor's body, a few shiny gold coins were collected. He counted the money while complaining about everything he couldn't get. The one who steals talent is the true path to wealth. Seeing promising income, Cao Nang rejoiced like at a festival, looking up to the sky and cheering in joy for getting rich. This spot alone is worth at least 500 alliance coins. He then regained his overflowing happiness and seriously calculated the workload. One demon is 510, so 10 demons would be 5,000. The mission goal is 100,000. I have to fight 200 demons. Are there really this many demons here? On the actor team's side, a member panicked and called Trin 2. Trin 2, this is 2 ton. The long-tongued kid has been silent for a while now. What's going on? The lazy, long-haired ghost replied, who knows? Where would he go fishing? Just scaring a child. Why does the long tongue take so much time? Then he heard a huge noise and started to worry. What's that sound? I'll go check. The long-haired ghost entered the room just as he was calculating the workload. One demon is 510, so 10 demons would be 5,000. Are there really this many demons here? Because it was dark, he hadn't seen the colleague's messy scene yet. The long-haired ghost just walked out like he wanted to scare Kaonung. But the closer he got, the more something felt off. The loud click of high heels made him notice the long-haired ghost's presence. The long-haired ghost only saw the back of a teenager wearing a mask. Unaware that danger was near when he turned around, oh no, a serial killer's form appeared. The scariest part was still those bulging eyes and bloody teeth. The long-haired ghost went from scaring others to being terrified himself. He screamed loudly and clearly. The wig disguised on him bounced up in the air. Oh my God. The long-haired ghost ran for his life. In Kaonung's eyes, he had become a walking wallet. He didn't disappoint expectations. Holding weapons in both hands, his eyes turned into stars. He shouted, "Second one, don't run!" He ran like there was no tomorrow, but still couldn't escape fate. Outside the room, only a loud thud was heard. One long-haired ghost gloriously sacrificed. Kaonung was used to it. 6 demons at once made him excitedly mutter that at this rate, 200 demons in one night wouldn't be impossible. After collecting all the spoils, he picked up his tools and commented, after pushing his body to the limit, dealing with these things was as easy as eating candy for the first time. The first 2 were all used up. Only the clean, shiny shovel remained in his backpack. Kaonung connected the actions and guessed it was probably used to bury demons. Then seeing the long-haired ghosts lying face down, he thought burying them individually was too troublesome. But now digging and burying takes too much time, so he decisively decided to kill a few more demons and bury them all at once. As soon as Kaonung finished speaking, other actors arrived. These demons were too cooperative, saving the trouble of searching. The newcomers were a clown and a butcher from the Koas playgroup. The clown raised his axe and shouted, "Crazy guy, where do you come from? How dare you cause trouble here?" The butcher angrily said, "How dare you rob our brothers? You're too bold." In Kaonung's eyes, these were all walking wallets. His eyes brightened excitedly, mumbling, "Money, huh? This is all money coming right to the door." Seeing his excited face was like seeing a lover. Without even facing them, with 2 weapons in hand, the demons quickly got scared. They probably planned to gang up, but it still didn't work. The whole factory suddenly became lively all at once. This kid is really strong. Killing someone and then saving a life. Where the hell did this crazy bastard come from? Not long after he had taken care of 2 of them. Proud for a while, truly a lonely champion. Then he ignored the corpses and continued searching for other victims. Walking and thinking, this money is coming too easily. I'm about to get rich. After walking for a while, he reached another door. This time the door was open, no effort needed. Kaonung wondered, with 4 demons already outside waiting. Surely there are more in the workshop. He stepped into the dark workshop with a burning passion for demon hunting. At a glance inside were only some stuffed animals and a few scaffolds. Kaonung paced carefully around the room searching but found nothing. At this rate, it would take him a long time to complete the mission. Kaonung pouted, mumbling, as he paced back and forth several times. And still not a single one. Seriously, only 2,000 dong so far. At least 196 demons should have jumped out here in the Alliance. But he couldn't just give up like that. He pondered and decided to change the hunting spot. Better not leave empty-handed. If there's none in this workshop, he'd switch to another. Just then, a mysterious hand suddenly grabbed his shoulder. The surprise attack startled him. His eyes widened in shock. Kaonung reflexively turned to swing his hammer, but the opponent also had excellent reflexes. Able to dodge instantly, to avoid revealing his identity, he put on a blood-stained mask and raised his alertness to 100%. In front of him was a girl wearing a mental patient's outfit, laughing non-stop. She carried a stuffed bear. Suddenly, she lifted it to her chest and began chanting, 10 dwarfs choked to death on a meal at Bonmao. Her filthy, smeared face and creepy laugh. She tore the bear in half and kept muttering strange words. No way to save 10 dwarfs, only 9 left. Kaonung didn't flinch in front of this madwoman. Raising his hammer, he shouted, pretending to be gods and ghosts before my hammer. Demons and monsters are just paper tigers. But like before, he still couldn't hit the woman. The one who escaped the other night appeared behind Kaonung, continuing to chant 9 dwarfs awake at night without sleep. So tired, turning to sleep. Sleeping and dying. 9 left, only 8. Hearing the sound, he spun around to swing his hammer, but was dodged again. The mad woman blended into the night, endlessly singing that song. The sound echoed from all directions, making it hard to pinpoint her location. 8 dwarfs searching for something strange in the past, leaving one to heaven. 8 left, only 7. 7 dwarfs chopping wood, 2 strikes unsteady, 1 stopped to rest. 7 left, only 6. At this point, Chao Nang was no longer as confident as before. His hand holding the hammer began to shake. The level of this opponent was vastly different from the previous demons. Cao Nong couldn't help but suspect. This demon seemed different. Nguni clapped rhythmically and sang a creepy nursery rhyme. 3 dwarfs met disaster. A bear fell from the sky. Only 2 dwarfs remain. Cao Nong listened for a while and got chills. His guard thought this wasn't a demon woman. This was a mad woman. What kind of children's song was she singing? Counting down like this was really scary. His hand unconsciously tightened on his weapon. The more Cao Nong thought, the tougher this opponent seemed. My moves are too fast. Even someone who has broken limits like me can't keep up. Looks like I have no choice but to use the 36 stratagems and play the beauty trap. Just as she chanted, he saw a mask wiped across his face and his hammer was thrown far away. At the same time, he shouted, "Wait!" Then instantly smiled brightly and in a warm, big brother tone, led the girl. "Oh, good kids, don't sing scary songs like that. Let's play a different game, okay?" Nguni, once committed, must follow through. As fast as lightning, she raised both hands to the sky and cheerfully shouted, "So can I dance?" Cao Nong, "Whatever," he replied, "you can dance. Whatever dance you want." In his heart, he thought at night, watching over like this, only a crazy person would dance with her. "Come a little closer. Let's see if I'll smash your face with a hammer." Nguni moved closer excitedly and suggested, "Then let's do the clapping dance." He clapped once, I clapped once. He stretched his head, trying to keep up. "So we will dance the clapping dance." While chatting, his hands were never idle, reaching into his pocket, searching and finding the plan was on track. Cao Nong's cold face thought the opportunity had come. She had let down her guard. Just one more step closer and he could kill her. But before acting, he was quite curious about the identity of this expert. He quickly thought ahead to see who this fake ghost really was. Now Cao Nong's eyes completely turned into a full-body scanner for the crazy person opposite him. This skill was so amazing, it scanned every detail down to the finest strand of hair on the target without revealing any hint. Truly a divine skill for a scout. After scanning, Cao Nong was astonished and wide-eyed. The bare face of Tom Nguni appeared on the screen. The light makeup trapped on her face was completely stripped away. Realizing the other person's face, Cao Nong instantly turned pale. Sweat poured down in waves. In horror, Tam Nguni was deeply disturbed. Suddenly, Cao Nong's mind almost completely froze. His brain confusedly thought, why is she here? Could it be I've been exposed? Luckily for him, Nguni still didn't know she had been discovered. She continued performing, "Hey, let's dance." Cao Nong, terrified and scared, mechanically responded to avoid upsetting her. "Uh-huh." From then on, the warehouse echoed with the sharp, merry tune of a young girl. He clapped once, I clapped once, like a clucking chicken. The 2 who were supposed to be on watch had fallen asleep without knowing when. Each snored loudly. Only when the blaring alarm rang did the 2 finally drag themselves up. The fat guy woke first and urged, "Get up, it's time to report." Huang Ya was still rubbing his sleepy eyes and murmured, "That bunch of fake ghosts still hasn't come to report." The fat guy squinted fiercely, alertly double-clicked to track, but still nothing. He said sharply to stay fully alert and horrified. Huang Ya saw him so agitated he cursed, then approached to ask, "What's wrong? What did you see?" "Just a man and a woman clapping hands on the screen." Huang Ya looked at their clothes suspiciously, one a scrap collector and the other a mental patient. The fat guy dryly added, "They seem to be dancing the clapping dance." Seeing the 2 peacefully playing in the warehouse, Huang Ya was furious, excitedly shouted, "What fate is this? What are those fake ghosts doing? Why let these 2 inside don't want to do the job anymore or what?" But the fat guy noticed something and hurriedly told Huang Ya, "Look here." Following his finger, they saw the 4 in the acting team lying face down, motionless. The fat guy, seeing the acting team all eliminated, nervously sought advice. "Huang Ya, what do we do now?" "Go kill those 2. Huang Ya, already quite scared by the scene, heard this and sharply retorted, "Stupid, do you know who dies fastest? It's the fools who always think they're right like you. Don't you see those 2 clearly aren't ordinary?" Yes, he immediately ordered to report to the higher-ups. The fat guy, of course, had no objection and obeyed strictly. Yes, yes. Those 2 had no idea. Cao Nong was also scared to death, smiling on the outside to make peace, but inside constantly weighing thoughts. Is Nguyen watching me because I've been exposed, or is she on a mission and accidentally ran into me? Nguyen completely did not realize he had noticed her, so she kept performing, looking incredibly innocent. He clapped 3 times. I clapped 3 times, the dog barks, woof woof, too many possibilities. Kaunong decided to let it go for now. No matter her purpose, she had no proof anyway. Then he casually sang, you clap 4, I clap 4, 4 mice squeak, chit chit. Right after realizing his slip, he startled, covering his mouth and glaring wide-eyed in shock, only to see Nguyen instantly transform from innocent naivety into a bullet-like figure glaring fiercely at him. Her anger so intense it blew off her makeup. She stomped firmly toward him in Kaunong's voice. So it really is you. Kaunong knew he had slipped up, bitter inside, realizing he was trapped. Nguyen quickly regained her composure, her face serious as she sternly asked, may I ask, you already recognized me earlier, right? Otherwise, why would you call out mouse? How could you possibly know who exactly sent you? Kaunong was cornered, his mind in a jumble. Without time to think of excuses, he kept yelling inside, it's over, one wrong step, and it's all gone. Whatever I say now is just begging for mercy. He was truly backed into a corner, now his hand unconsciously gripping the hammer handle. Desperate, Kaunong gripped the hammer with both hands, awkwardly swinging it, but Nguyen was exceptionally skilled and easily blocked the strike. Not only did she block it, she managed to soften the hammerhead, then detach the whole piece from the wooden handle. Nguyen simultaneously changed into the specialized armor of the Alliance, calmly repeating twice, ambushing a major, that's a serious crime. By now, Kaunong's hammerhead was completely in her hands, freely molded at her will. Disarmed, Kaunong didn't hesitate and immediately turned to run, clinging to a very slim hope. A soldier with the power to manifest energy, at least 3 breakthrough levels, can't be fought head-on. Running is the best option. But Nguyen's major rank wasn't just for show. She lightly swung her hand confidently, saying, running. You think you can run? In an instant, the hammer transformed into handcuffs that chased after and automatically locked onto his legs. Kaunong was suddenly restrained, losing his balance, immediately completely unable to escape. By reflex, Kaunong looked down at his legs, mumbling, this is Nguyen. She looked at him arrogantly and generously asked, any last words? Even captured by the victim herself, Kaunong wasn't ready to give up trying to explain. I'm still young and full of life. It's a bit early for last words. I can explain. Then suddenly, in a warning tone, he said, Tum Nguyen, careful. Behind her, she basically didn't believe a word from Kaunong's mouth. A bit fed up, she said, dying soon and still playing these tricks. Do you think I'm that naive? But this time it really didn't work. Nguyen sensed an attacker and immediately spun around in a flash, calling forth a dragon, fighting blow for blow with the ambusher. Their clash sparked fiery flashes, looking incredibly fierce. Makoto threw a test punch, then stepped back to keep a safe distance, casually commenting, the energy manifestation of the Iron Beast is interesting. Less than 10 seconds later, 2 more people joined. The scruffy, middle-aged man named Jiat Tho stood aside and sighed. Didn't expect to meet a master like this in the land of the lost. The woman with pink-dyed hair in a seductive style named Amai clicked her tongue and added, too bad it seems she only came alone. Nguyen turned her attention to the newcomer standing tall and said, looks like there's something unusual about this factory, huh? Then guessing, she turned to him and asked, are you all on the same side? Kaunong quickly explained, I don't know them. Of course she was just baiting. It was obvious they weren't on the same team. Nguyen smiled and said, I don't think so either. Otherwise you'd be dead already. Seeing the 2 of them chat like no one was watching, the others started whispering. Amai showed an interest and commented, my intel was wrong. This girl doesn't seem like an ordinary lunatic. Makoto listened seriously and added, I heard there's a major in the Alliance who can manifest energy too. Doesn't quite look like the photos. Jatho wasn't bothered, impatiently saying, anyway, there's only one. Let's just deal with her directly. No need for long talks. Respecting his teammates' wishes, Makoto bowed politely and introduced himself. If you're a major of the army, I apologize for my rudeness. Let me introduce myself a bit. I'm Ito Makoto, 33 years old, still unmarried. Don't know your last name, miss. Nguyen firmly and clearly impersonated Kaunong, leaving the real Kaunong bewildered, not understanding what was going on. Last name Chow, a student of the 3rd senior high school. Kaunong had no doubt about this. He smirked and asked, So she's a beauty. Kaonang is honored to meet you. Why exactly did you disguise yourself like this? Then immediately launched a full attack, truly making the most of the opportunity. Makoto charged straight at Ngunyi with a smug look. Ngunyi was no less skilled controlling the metal dragon in combat. He was sure of his victory, laughing almost hysterically. Beauty Kaonang, you've been fooled. However, his fist was only struggling against the dragon's claw and hadn't reached the controller yet. The intense clash between the two gloves sent sparks flying wildly, blinding the eyes. Kaonang's Titan alloy dog squinted with dissatisfaction, muttering, "It's midnight and you're still playing with light pollution like this. Do you have a conscience?" But despite grumbling, his eyes never stopped staring intently at the battlefield. A rare chance to learn from real combat, it would be a waste not to watch. Whether by accident or design, the three all ignored him and rushed to gang up on Ngunyi. One person and one dragon hovered tensely like a supernova in the warehouse, bracing themselves. Then suddenly, Ngunyi returned to the ground under the careful escort of the metal dragon. The dragon whipped its long body so hard that the crowd nearly flew away. This heat is no joke. Witnessing the professionals' real combat, Kaonang couldn't help but tense up. This is exactly a battle between SAO energy warriors at the height of the fight. The system suddenly appeared gleefully humming and looking very pleased. Host detected to be about to be killed. Should I start a new mission to save your life first? Never thought the system would actually come through. He grabbed its head affectionately, speaking with a kind of streetwise rescue tone. Start it, start it. Thought the system had a virus and was growing a conscience, but no. It was here to trick Kaonang, making the already tense situation even worse. Starting a new mission, not one, not two, but three. Within 1 hour, you must be able to fight back against Tom Ngunyi. If I can fight her once, I can fight her twice. The passion of youth needs no further explanation. Men are just that formidable, that capable. As soon as these words came from the gold and silver block, they were immediately thrown away like trash. Kaonang furiously cursed, "Hell no, if I could beat Tam Ngunyi, I wouldn't need you to save my life." Then he suddenly remembered the mission hint and calmed down. Wait, if there's a mission hint, there must be a hint. The system calmly smiled and slowly explained, "Please select difficulty level. Nightmare difficulty." Kaonang panicked and hadn't even let it finish before grabbing it and yelling, "What's the point of choosing now? I'd be stupid to pick nightmare difficulty. Just give me the hint." The system laughed with eyes squinted and confirmed immediately. Truly a professional at trapping the host. Successfully selected Nightmare Genesis difficulty. I myself am the most useful. I need this hint, so no more words needed. Completing Nightmare difficulty guarantees the host 100% will receive an intermediate Yang treasure, plus a 10% chance to activate the lucky spin. As the words ended, Kaonang felt as if his ancestors were waving at him. His face turned pale. A life verse suddenly popped into his mind. Whoever lives must die. It's just a matter of dying sooner or later. Just as he reflected on life, an explosion roared behind him. Truly a blazing firestorm. The blast forced him to turn his head to check the developments with a heavy heart. Just turned around and saw the metal dragon breathing fire. The fiery scales on its exterior looked shinier than usual.